And welcome everyone to another OSR tabletop with myself, GM Bloodworth. Although for today's live stream, I'm going to go by TM or Table Master, and I'll get into the reason why I'm utilizing that possibly for at least today and possibly moving forward because it's going to relate, I think, to this overall topic that I'm going to be talking about. Now, of course, within a few minutes, once I kind of set this up, I'm going to open up the floor. So anyone else that wants to join in, you're certainly welcome to do so. I am going to check out who is in chat already. I'll give you all a few more minutes to pop in as well. Chthonic Musings, hey, how's it going? I watched your video earlier today, so I watched your top 10, and it was pretty cool to see that we have some shared top 10 tabletop role-playing games there. Let's see who else. Ducato, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. And again, anyone is welcome to jump in here. So what I did was how to handle disruptive, player either requests or demands. And what prompted this was for about the last 10, 11 days or so, the question came up, and I first saw it on Professor Dungeon Master's Dungeon Craft channel, where he presented this this question. It was a question out to other game masters out there on Reddit, in particular Reddit/D&D. Someplace that I have been on Reddit perhaps 10 times in all of the years that I've been there. I don't go there very often at all. Very rarely. The only time I'll actually go there is if I see like if I'm doing a search result, looking for something, and it will bring me to Reddit, usually OSR Reddit or D&D Reddit, with an answer to what I was looking for. A lot of times it'll bring me there for video games that I'm playing, like, whether it be Fallout or something along those lines too. But I don't go to Reddit often and and post and do those kinds of things. I think when I went in there, and actually when I logged into Reddit just now to bring up that original post and to look for my response to it, and to see what responses that got, it didn't even have my name up there. I was like, it had some other kind of a weird name up there. But I know it's my post, and I'm going to go over that as well. But so I'm going to bring that up first. I'm going to do a share screen and bring that up first so that we can all put this into context. But then I'm going to broaden it, because it's not just about player character death and the desire for that not to occur at the table, but I think that there are other disruptive, I will call it that, disruptive requests or or demands that brought me to thinking about this question in a little bit more detail. And then I also want to bring up both my comment there and my comment over on Dungeon Craft as well. So I am going to, first thing is to share this so that you can see what I'm talking about. So screen share, and let's go to thoughts about. There we are. So, and I will try to make this as large as I can so that you can read along with it. And I will try to come back and see, you might be able to make that out a little bit better. So anyway, thoughts about asking a DM not to kill your character. This is coming from a DM. I have a player that has informed me that they have that could be a direct message too, maybe not another dungeon master. I have a player that has informed me that they have a preference for not having their character killed in combat, in a campaign. I'm sorry, in a campaign. This player is okay with doing combat, but is largely interested in RP and said they have wanted to play D&D for a while, but were scared because they get attached to their characters and believe that since death can happen in D&D, they were worried seeing it happen to a character they got attached to could be very upsetting for them. They are slightly embarrassed by this and ask me not to tell the other players who are okay with death happening to their characters. All right, so first thing that I have here as an issue is, so the person goes in and says that they've wanted to play D&D, but they know that in D&D death can happen to player characters. And so the desire is that, they want to play the game in a way that the game is not meant to be played. So that's my first issue with it. My second issue with this is that they are slightly embarrassed. They should be more than slightly embarrassed, but by the request more so than wanting this, by this, and ask me not to tell the other players who are okay. So the person is asking for a different set of rules to be applied for the player and his or her character than anyone else, and to keep it a secret that that's not actually the case. Now, that's where I have a bigger problem with this than, because now this person is not even being open with the rest of the players at the table. Um, Again, it's like putting themselves first above all others. Now I will tell you my thoughts, but I wanted to see how other DMs feel. So I'm not going to so much be interested with going too much into, his or her thoughts here, because again, um, I don't agree with where he goes with this either. While I agree with the DMs that death adds stakes and permanence to a campaign and can often elevate RP and drama to another level, I have had games as a player and a DM where the PC death really up the scale and how locked in everyone is. I also recognize people play for different things. I thank this player for being honest with me about what they wanted and told them not to worry about it. I will work around them not wanting their player to die, but that doesn't mean they are immune in combat or that their decisions don't matter. They can still be knocked down, and their actions will still have consequences in the future for their character as well as impacts the other players as well. I just won't be going for the throat on them, and they need to make sure that the rest of the table is okay with this. Well, I mean, basically, the rest of the table has to be informed. All right. So at least here, the dungeon master is telling this player, oh no, everyone needs to know. They agreed and brought it up to the table, and they were okay with it because they cared more about them playing with us than what their personal stakes were. All right. I wanted to get the opinions of other DMs. Okay. So here is my stated opinion. Like I said, I don't know why this became Overpassion 3630. Should have been written, as DM Bloodworth. First off, I wouldn't allow for this at my table. PCs can be killed. Adventuring is the most dangerous activity in any fictional setting and genre. I tell my players in session zero roughly how dangerous I anticipate the campaign to be based on the game mechanics and the stakes in which the campaign is going to be set at. My warning and expectation is that all campaigns at my table are heroic in nature. The PCs will be good, and the fighting very evil and challenging foes. If a player has an issue with that, he or she is politely told maybe this isn't the table for you. I wish you luck in your search for another table. This isn't gatekeeping before anyone jumps to that conclusion. It's vetting. In my experience, a player who starts with making demands will not ever be satisfied enough to stop making demands. I do the same with the players who suddenly start making demands after the first few weeks, which I have experienced that as well. Uh, Mastering, yes, I use the word intentionally over a game table is like raising children. You have to teach them the word no early on, and you will never regret having done so. Do I ever say yes? Of course, but for things that make sense and don't overtly or overly interfere with how I'm looking to run the game at my table. All right, so that was my response. All right, and here they're mentioning bringing it up on the Dungeon Crafts channel here as well, and they go forward with some other responses. So I'm going to come back over to here. I'm going to stop. I am going to stop sharing as soon as I find that button. Sorry about that. And let's get over here. Feel free to TPK and move on. In my humble opinion, every player should run two. Peons are expendable. Yes. I've always had a deep desire to try your baseball, but the concept of bases being stolen sickens me. Yeah, I knew that I would get a lot of you know uh, comments and sarcasm and everything. Um, Wrong saloon partner. Yeah, it certainly is. Um, it's certainly the wrong place to come from, but I wanted to address it in this sense that number one, and as I stated, my biggest issue with it is to keep it secret from others. That was that's certainly not something that I would do, and it doesn't appear that this game master did. He spoke to his players and asked to see where they stood on the issue. And even if they said at that time, "Oh, we don't have a problem with this," there's going to be a point, I think, in as this campaign continues to run, where it's going to become an issue that that player is either going to play his or her character in a way that puts the others at risk because he doesn't feel that his character is going to. I'm not going to mess around with his pronouns. I'm assuming it's a male. I'm going to go with that. Um, I don't think that he's going to play his character cautiously, which might put everyone else at a risk because he's not going to play his character cautiously because he's pretty much gotten an acceptance to his demand that the DM's not going to have his character pay the ultimate price. I don't know how this is mechanically handled with the prevalence of so many game masters out there making their roles in public. So how do you deny, that your character has 4 hit points left, and now they just took a hit from a giant lobbing its boulder and doing 27 hit points of damage. Um, oh, you just got knocked out. You know, if that only applies to one player character and not all of the others, they're all going to start demanding that. They're not going, well, wait a second here. This is not something that is, you know, it's not something that is shielding us from those consequences. I mean, he mentioned it's like, well, the players didn't make sense that they let me get to it. I'm sorry. Um, they're okay with it because they cared more about them playing with the person than they do their personal stakes. Um, their personal stakes are going to be at risk, all right, because that player is going to be playing in a very different way than if they actually had the consequences of combat to deal with. And so I'm going to open this up now for you to come join in as well. So let me do that invite. And this being the first of the month, I will also be giving out some free memberships. So be on the lookout for those as well. So there's the invite. You're welcome to jump in while I'm waiting for people to join. I'm going to take a sip. I have to get a travel mug. Using my Disney ones from 20 years ago is I need to upgrade and update that. That's pretty lame that the person playing a fictional character in a fictional scenario needs training wheels, knee pads, and a helmet. Yeah, it's again, it struck me worse that he didn't want the other players to know about it. Um, you know, that is that's what gets me is, oh, don't tell the other players, don't let anybody else know. I want these special privileges that no one else is going to have. And again, this isn't the only disruptive, you know, gameplay. I also consider, and this is why I use the term table master, for this instance here, and not just game master or dungeon master. I mean, dungeon master I exclusively use when I'm running Dungeons and Dragons. So it's usually game master. But this kind of prompted me to the point of thinking, you know what, game master might be an issue too. All right, and the issue that I might have with game master is that, I could see a player challenging me at the table and saying, but the game rules say this. So if you're a game master, you're following the game rules. And that's why, because I've come across spells that are broken spells, or combinations, character class and trait combinations that are just broken. And if you follow the rules of the book, um, that brokenness is going to infect the gameplay that's taking place. I have seen, I have seen spells as written become very problematic, and the player uh, exploiting, the poor wording of that spell ends up tainting the gameplay for everyone involved. I ran across that with invisibility in Castles and Crusades, where the player was very adamant that he didn't feel that any kind of action could, short of him making an attack, would dispel the invisibility spell once he casted it. He didn't feel like he could be targeted. He didn't feel that anything could use, any monster could use any other sense but sight in order to know that he was there and then attack him. And it really did become an issue, because he would cast the spell, and then because of the way that the spell is written, he'd literally be able to maintain this spell 24/7, and as long as he didn't attack anything, he would constantly remain invisible. And it just wasn't a realistic interpretation of the intent of the spell. And so by going with table master instead of game master, yeah, and I know, you know, I remember that law. Yeah, yeah, off grid was in that game, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I know he wasn't the person doing it, but it really did become an issue for the rest of the players too, because they were picking up the slack, and here was a magic user that was casting a web spell kind of willy-nilly and then going invisible and then just chilling out for the rest of the time. Meanwhile, he's like third or fourth level magic user with plenty of other spells that would have helped out, and yet he wouldn't use it. So by shifting to table master, you kind of you head off that argument. Well, it's the way it's written in the game rules. And if you're a game master, you are a master of the game. By using table master, no, I'm a master of the table. What goes at my table is up to me, and I know that might sound it's very abrasive or whatnot, but I'm more, and I have some of my players here in the chat. I will lean towards allowing them to do things, provided that those things make sense and they don't break the game. And you can utilize spells in a way that breaks the game, or you can request or demand something be done and breaks the game. So that's why I'm saying is that this isn't just a matter of always saying no. This is a matter of supporting the integrity of what's supposed to be taking place at the table. We are supposed to be engaging in a heroic fantasy or science fiction or whatnot. The player characters are engaged in the most risky of endeavors, and the ultimate risk, or the ultimate penalty for taking on those risks is character death. It does happen. Now, I'm also, very big on the idea that every PC character's death should be something that is meaningful, and not just in the moment that it occurs, but going forward as part of the campaign. This is something that a good game master is going to keep in mind. Hey, this player character died 6 months ago, and while in their hometown, they happened to be sitting in a tavern, and a bard suddenly starts singing about the exploits of that character that was killed 6 months ago, 6 months in real time, 6 months ago. And the I think the impact that would have on the player who might actually be sitting there and hearing this described, even though they're playing a new character for the last 6 months, that is going to really set, I think, a tone for what you're doing at your table. It's going to make it easier for that next character death, because they're going to realize that, hey, this game master cares about the memory of these player characters as much as maybe they do. And I think it's a great way to help them deal with the fact that a player character dies. I would never be the game master that sits there and asks the person to hand me their character sheet and tear it up. I've heard nightmare stories of that as well. No, but I have seen many, many examples of people. I have one here where Jeffrey Talanian wrote on my character sheet when my ranger died in his Hyperborea game, and he wrote on him, you know, died way too soon. You know, great playing with you, Rich, or something along those lines. I mean, I pulled it off my shelf and read it, but it was, and then I walked away with the sheet. So yeah, he wasn't going to sit there and tear it up, and say that is, over the top. But there are instances. I know they had this at page 3, just a week ago, where there was a bulletin board of all the characters killed in the Shadow Dark game, and Kelsey Dion was there putting names on the chart, or at least pointing to them and showing them, on the bulletin board. And that's an awesome way of both remembering the player character plus also remembering your experience at the table with that player character. And it's kind of a little bit tongue in cheek too, that hey, here is the wall of the dead, kind of thing. So I really do think that that is a good way to enhance the experience at the table. Let me get to some of your comments here. So the master always gets the final say, in my opinion, no matter the qualifier used. Players that try to capture the DMs using the rules are bad for any table. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that it's a disruptive behavior. Um, I've seen, I've witnessed players trying to play characters that don't exist in the game world, that was being presented, right? And being adamant about it too. And it's like, well, it's just they don't exist. And so, you can't play a tiefling in this Greyhawk setting playing D&D Beck Me, basic, expert D&D. And we're not in the position in this moment to start statting out a whole new race and then what you're looking to play and everything. But you can play these other, choices. There are a whole slew of other pre-generated characters that they could choose from and whatnot. And the player was very, toxic about it. The player, took a character eventually, after wasting about 25 minutes of everyone's time, and played for about 10-15 minutes or so, and then feigned not feeling well and just dropped from the stream, because it just wasn't what they wanted to do. No, it's, again, it's not gatekeeping, it's vetting. You want to vet your table. You want to keep players that would make these, disruptive, requests or demands. You want to keep them from your table. They're not going to stop with just one demand. All right. That's the other thing that I had with that issue is like, well, if you give in a couple weeks down the road, they're going to have something else. Find a different table. Yes, absolutely. I agree. A living world helps to immerse the players and adds weight to player decisions. The legacy of characters within the campaign is an important concern. Yes, absolutely. And that's why, a lot of times I like to have my players create their henchmen. All right, that will be first level henchmen that eventually could become their replacement player characters, so that they have a connection to them as well. And so that might be something that you should do as well, is to have that kind of a setup. I've seen other commentators say, oh, you never have them roll two characters at once because that takes away the meaningfulness and purpose of the first character. And if you have backup characters, then none of your characters matter. That's absolutely wrong to believe that. It's just not thinking through the possibility that a player character is embarking on a very dangerous expedition and and could very well die, and so you have to have someone else fill in that gap, another player character fill in that gap. And if the player created it, it's even easier for them to make that transition over to it. Um, if I recall correctly, Outcast Silver Raiders has special funnel mechanics that make characters' death a meaningful event. Yes, I mean there's a lot that do that, and we have our first person joining. And hey, Paul, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
Good to see you, and thanks for popping in. So I'll let you,
Sure.
because I've been going for a while. I'll
Sure.
let you chime in.
Well, I think the other big red flag is that the person said that they get too attached with characters. So even though
Mm,
you make their character invulnerable, what happens if they get attached to an NPC? Now it's like, well, now there's no stakes for the NPC or what other characters, they get attached to. So it's one of those things where it's like you have a mental emotional problem, you need to deal with it before you sit down to get into any of these activities. If that kind of stuff is going to cause like serious emotional damage for you,
mhm.
probably should look out for your health before you jump into the table, let
Yeah,
alone
yeah,
like, yeah, you're fundamentally changing the game. It would be like, hey guys, you want to play basketball? No dribbling though, I hate dribbling. And it's just like, what? We're not really playing basketball then. It's
mhm.
D&D is a combat game. It always has been. You can't have no player deaths. Play Wanderhome or something like that, where it's like there's no violence. You could get attached to the characters. There's no threat of anybody dying. But the problem is what 95% of everybody's playing D&D. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And the game, yes, the game as written is pretty hard to lose a character to begin with all of their death saves and and all of the other the overpoweredness of player characters versus their opponents and everything. But um it can happen, and that's an important possibility for there to be. Otherwise, you have no stakes. I mean, going back to Professor Dungeon Master's commentary on it, he was like, "There's no, we'll end up playing for no stakes at all, and then nothing matters anymore. Then why even bother rolling dice? You know,
yep,
uh, wha- now you're just here for story time.
yep,
And we're playing the baristas, in Strixhaven now instead of a heroic fantasy,
right, yeah.
or any genre. Again, it doesn't matter. It's like where are the stakes? Imagine doing that in a game that is much deadlier than D&D. You know
Right,
what I'm saying? I mean, you're gonna do that in Alien RPG or Mothership or something. No, you're actually meant to die in those. I mean, it's like you're not
sure.
meant to survive them. You
I
know,
mean, you could use that as an opportunity to be like, all right, guys, we've been playing D&D for a bit. We've got a person who like might, be triggered by characters dying. Let's play Marvel superheroes. Nobody's going to die. You
yeah,
know,
you
you
know,
just get knocked out. That's it. You could
yeah.
try
Just tell
something
them, yeah.
else.
Well, this game isn't the game you want. You want to play Toon. You know,
Yeah, well, yeah,
none
just
of the characters
anything.
die in Toon either. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? It's like, and you can have a lot of fun. I had a great deal of fun playing Toon, back when I was a teen. You know
right.
what I'm saying? It's a fun game. And yeah, your characters can die because it's a cartoon. You
Yeah.
know, um
Instead of jumping in the game where it's like this is primarily about being rewarded with weapon upgrades and armor upgrades
yeah,
and people maintaining a health level so they don't die. So if you
yeah.
get rid of dying, there's no lose component to it. So it changes the entire framework of the game. So we could do that for you, the one player, but
Hey, RPG Grandma. Okay, finally got YouTube to work right. Oh, I'm I'm glad to hear it. I didn't realize you were having issues. Fingers crossed. Yeah, mine too. Um, so the group, the GM and the player in question won't have a good experience. No, no, and it is. It's not a one-time thing either. All right, it's never going to be a one-time. Oh, I'm just asking for this one thing, and and I'm not going to ask for anything down the road. Something else will come down the road. Oh, you know what? I don't want to. I don't want to be the only one that doesn't have this, that, and the other thing too. It's never going to end, and that's why in let me bring up my comment that I put on Dungeon Crafts so I can relate back to that again. Let me see how I do that from here. Let's go to my channel. I'll find it in a second, and let's go to. How come I can't do this? All right, let's go home. Let's go to subscriptions. I got to jumble around here. Let's just do Dungeon Craft. That would be faster. Okay. And there we go. And characters can't die. All right. And let me get to my things. So I made two comments here. So my second one, and this is where I came up with the Table Master. I actually thought of that when I was commenting on his thing. I'm going to start using the title Table Master in place of Game or Dungeon Master. TM, in my opinion, will firmly establish a separation between what is my domain and what is the player domain. They arrive to my table with their characters, so that their character is fully within their control. If the character dies, it is now trapped at my table. It is now mine to determine what becomes of it. How will the character be remembered by the world? What connections need to be informed of the character's death? But in most cases, there will almost never be access to resurrecting a PC. I don't really allow it in my games. I never had it when I was, first started in D&D either. But the lack of character death isn't the only game breaker. There are plenty of spells or character class combinations that breaks the game as well. As a table master, I will rule that those things can't be done. The spells don't exist in the world. The classes can't be combined as a multi-class. Those features can't be combined or trained at all, etc. If I were to use Game Master, the players might point to the rule book and say, but it's in the game. As Table Master, I can counter, not at my table. This isn't meant to be adversarial. It just delineates the roles at the table. I'm pretty fair and even generous Table Master, but I won't let toxic behaviors or poorly written rules, spells, break the game session at my table. Professor DM, the player, if given into, will have more demands down the road. You're correct in saying this may not be at the table for you. That was kind of the gist of his thing. All right. It's which he fully agreed with that. He actually gave it a heart on that comment there. Yeah, I think it really is a point where we as game masters or table masters or whatnot are going to turn to the players at our table, fully inform them in like a session 0, and say like, this is what your expectations can be in this at this table for this campaign and whatnot. But there's going to be times when the player might request something and it's going to be told no, it's not going to happen. And that's just the way it is. Betting allows people to find the game that is right for them. Exactly. And it just might not be the game for them. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's not gatekeeping. It's telling them, that's not the way it's going to happen here. I'll let you jump in again, Paul.
Yeah, no, it's another one of those issues that's going to pop up. Though it sounds like these people know each other, so it's kind of odd that this person would want to, if that is the case, they would want to jump in on the game and kind of put a damper on the fun, unless it's just some online game and they're trying to be polite. In which case, that's I'm learning a lot, playing a lot more online games these days, and
Yeah.
there are a lot of strange people on the internet with very strange beliefs. So,
Yeah.
you try to be as hospitable as you can, but if they show up and they go, "We got to change all the rules," and it's like,
Yeah.
well, there's like 5 of us and one of you. You can keep searching.
Yeah.
There's millions of tables, and it seems like 2 out of 3 of them fail to coagulate into an actual game these days. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't think I would sacrifice that. It would be like somebody, like if I were playing running said Marvel game, and they were like, I want to play a character that's like the Punisher, who's just but like more of a cold blooded killer. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. Not here.
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
hero game. That's not what I want at all.
Yeah.
So good
Yeah.
luck to you. You'll
It
probably find
definitely
there's
plays
plenty of
something
murder
else.
hobos out there. You'll find so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and it's a tough line, you know, um, because it's hard to tell players, especially players who have been with you for a long time, and to tell them no. And but you have to justify it. Number one, you can't just say no and that's it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, you have to explain to them why it's a no, or give them other options that they can do that's still not giving in to what they wanted, but might be someplace that is workable. Um, but
yeah,
some of these demands, I mean, they're just unworkable demands. I mean, I've come across them, now as I'm, coming into my 11th year of my return back to tabletop role playing games, and predominantly been running games, for all of that time, and I've had like 3 or 4 negative encounters, with players that are just either requesting or making demands, and demands don't go anywhere with me. I'm saying it's like a
yeah.
demand. I always tell this story. I was a school teacher, for 26 and a half years. And I was a union rep in my building for 16, my final 16 years of that. And the union rep, and the principal actually have a co-equal partnership as far as running the school is concerned. There's, I wasn't subordinate to the principal, but I
Mhm.
had this one principal who, didn't quite understand that dynamic, as much as it was, laid out in both, the administrators' contracts and, teachers' contracts, and just the way that it worked. And one time he came over the PA and said, Mr. Salati, come to my office immediately. All
Hmm.
right. So I'm
Okay.
sitting there and I called the main office and I said to the secretary, you tell the principal that I'll be there at my earliest convenience. And then I hung up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and then the phone rings again. And it was the secretary, and she was like, he said, you tell him exactly what I said, or just let him wait and let him stew. All
Yeah.
right. I'll be there. I says immediately adds so much time into my arrival that it's just not going to work, And I run my table the same way. It's like if somebody comes to me, oh, you have to do this, otherwise I'm going to walk, because I've had that. I was like,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah.
It's like you know,
Right.
um, I'm not going to beg you to stay.
Right.
Good luck
Yeah.
looking for a table that is going to accept that.
Right.
And that's that was one of my cases where the person was like kind of taken aback when he says, "Well, if it doesn't go this way, I'm probably going to have to leave." Okay, that was
Yeah.
exactly how I said to him in voice. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
And that was at a convention, right? The one
no,
guy
no,
asked.
that was my home game.
Oh
My
wow.
online home game. In Discord chat with he and I, going back and forth and being like, oh, he was like, I just don't feel like everyone at the table is hearing what I want to do, and it's like, dude, there's 7 players, and
Yeah.
each character is going to have their moment in the spotlight. He wanted the spotlight all the time. He became one of those spotlight characters that,
Right. Right.
it's
Right.
always
Yeah.
me. It's always got to be revolving about what my character wants to do and everything. And, so I was like, oh, it's just knocked away. So when he left and his character wasn't going to be at the next session, it is a hilarious thing. I tried to build that in to like kind of like a mystery, like a missing persons mystery for the rest of the player characters to actually get involved with and try to do, because there was some political intrigue going on as well in that campaign. And so I was
Yeah.
going to try to build it in. The rest of the party of player characters were like, we're going to have breakfast and then we're going to go head
Yeah.
out on our day. They wanted no parts of looking for him. I was like, holy shit. I was like,
Yeah.
I kind of planned out this whole murder mystery kind of thing. And they were like, oh no, we're just going to have breakfast and go. I was like,
Yeah. And
couldn't care
and that's
less.
why it's nice if like a blow up is happening like that, where the players like, well, I might just have to leave. If the players that are there who honestly feel like, I've never given a shit about your character, dude, if they just speak up, like, you don't want it to become a big brouhaha, but it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you don't get to dictate to the table. Like, we're all equally important, and to be honest, none of us really care about your character, and it was proved by that. Yeah, the character went missing, and they're like,
Yeah.
what else is on the menu today? And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. This thing here with the tabletop is great for mental health and mental well being. I would say it's great for getting people who are normally very insular, to be or introverted, to be a little bit more extroverted, right? To be a little bit more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
It's a great socialization tool. I don't know if it's a great mental health tool and for mental well-being. I think it's really a great socialization tool. It's a great tool to make you become a better reader because it does require so much reading, and that's been my own experience as well. It's meant to, or it will have the effect of making you less shy to talk about, to talk in, with a group of people around
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
Now I don't consider that to be, whether it's shyness or timid or whatnot, to be necessarily mental health or mental well-being or emotional health or it's just I think it's less so than what it's oftentimes used. So when people say, even including professionals, like, oh yeah, we use role playing for psychological experiments and stuff, like to improve someone's mental health. I don't think that's really effective at all, or not an effective use of that tool, to be done that way. I think it's just as dangerous as not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
It's like Takato's saying over here. Yeah, the table's great for escapism, just like any hobby. It helps you kind
yeah,
of get your mind off of things. But there are people who overdo it, where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm in like 8 games a week, and it's like, are you doing it for fun, or are you running from something?
yeah,
It could be that you're just trying to drown yourself in something now, just like any addiction. When you start to overdo it.
yeah. It's exposure therapy. Yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to argue. And you could do the same thing for somebody who's who is attached to their character and their character dies, you don't you're not giving them the exposure of that to overcome that by not letting it happen. I
Right.
think what you do is you get them over that by making that character death important and remembered and revisited at a later time, and that then makes it like, oh, you didn't forget about my character. You remembered my character. Like I said, like 6, 8 months later, you know, um, if their new character is suddenly hearing stories about the old, that's going to have an effect on the player in thinking, hey, you know what? This game master cares about what's going on at this table. He did not forget that my player character died, and they can let it go a little bit more so, I think, by doing that. So again, it's exposing them, and exposure therapy. I don't like using the word therapy for it because you know uh, not qualified to talk about that. Even though I've had some training with that stuff for education, I still wouldn't call it therapy. Um, so anyway, it's just good to play a game with friends for a few hours, lots of laughs and excitement. Yeah, that's really what it's meant to be. Um, there are groups, generally younger generation, that play D&D with no combat. Not at all what is designed for, but the person should find one of those groups if they can't adapt. Exactly. Yeah, if you're looking for that kind of gameplay, you could certainly find it. I guarantee it. Um, Without the threat of death, there is no reason to live at all. Marilyn Manson. No, there's no reason to play D&D without character death. Yeah, yeah, it's you're playing in the wrong game. That's bottom line. I have a PC that is in the process of becoming undead. At some point, I will either turn on the party or forcing them to kill me again, or I must go out heroically. But I keep talking about smell their flesh. uh, Smell their flesh. I'm guessing it's smell their flesh.
Yeah.
Hearing their heartbeat, hearts, mentioning brains, another. Yeah, I mean, you could certainly role play it. We got an agreement here. I agree, Paul. Roll 20 random parties are an acquired taste for a few. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I've been doing this for 11 years.
Yeah.
And I've only had kind of these weird issues happen 4 times in 11 years in all of the sessions that I've had, in all of the different games and campaigns that I've run, and the dozens of different players that I've had. And I've only had, maybe 4 out of 30 were just the wrong match. Let's just put it there. They weren't a good fit.
Right.
That's where I'll leave it at. It's like they, weren't terrible people. They weren't nasty people. They were just a wrong fit.
Right.
I'm already slightly crazy.
No, but it seems like more now these days because the random stuff, like when we're trying to get groups together like for this channel, because what was it, Gangbusters imploded,
Right.
Hyperborea and whatnot, but then it was like people were like, hey, we want to play like a Weird West game, and then it just kind of came together organically like that, as opposed to people just being like, I'll see, and then they show up for one session and you do all this work to set it up and then they vanish.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, the other 2 games, like, because you've been in both of them, right? So
right.
Gangbusters, Thursday, clearly Thursday is not a great day. I mean, that has just been because both of those were on a Thursday. So, the Thursday morning, it's like, all right, I'm not doing that. And Thursday evening was just tough. And we had Gangbusters and Hyperborea. And Yeah, I think it's just Thursday. Thursday just might not be the greatest day for it because I don't have that problem with Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe the Deadlands thing will finally, dispel
Yeah,
the curse.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I want to, plus I'm looking to keep that group small.
yeah,
So I think there's only like four of you total.
yeah,
And we still have to touch bases and get things rolling, so hopefully by this upcoming weekend, we'll have that hammered out and we can start on, that's going to be, alternating Thursday nights,
hmm
with Shadows.
right. The Bears
Shadows,
and Borderlands.
yeah.
Yep.
So
And another interesting thing too is like, yeah, communicate on YouTube. I started up a channel because Bear was like, why don't you do YouTube stuff? And I was like, I don't know. Hadn't
yeah,
really thought about it. So yeah, I recorded the top 10 RPGs, and then from that somebody was like, oh hey, I'm running a Rogue Trader, and that's like your number 4. You want to jump in? I was like, sure. There you go. It's like,
where'd you
yeah.
put the video up?
My channel, it's just my name, no space or anything like that, on YouTube. So I could probably share. I think, did I put it on your Discord? I might not have.
If you didn't, yeah, I will definitely put it out there, and I'll post it here too. So
Yeah,
just put it in the private chat because I think I have to cut and paste it. Otherwise, it might pick
gotcha.
up as spam. So,
Gotcha. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, YouTube is funny like that.
Right.
So, yeah. So, unless we're talking about straight up railroading, I don't really see any reason to argue with the DM. It's all pretty cut and dry to me. Yeah, I mean, again, like I said, you have full control over your player character. You can do what with your player character whatever you want. Just be, you will get the rewards for the things that were well thought out and worked out great. You'll get the consequences for those actions that didn't. And I roll everything in person. I roll everything, in view, and everyone can see. Like even my VTT games, the players see my dice rolls. They see what's rolled, and yes, I do wince when I roll, natural 20s too. It's like I might chuckle a little bit if it's like kind of like a funny way to go kind of thing, but the point is that it's it's important, I think, for everybody at the table to be able to see that everyone faces the same kind of consequences for dice rolls. Everyone's same consequences for bad actions or inactions or whatnot, and there should be no well, that's okay for everybody else, but not for me. That's a horrible way
All
to
right.
come to a table. And this is an introduction to this table. It's like, oh, don't tell anybody else. I was like, oh, geez. That to me was like, all right, you're gone.
Right.
Um,
Well, it's
that
like when you would go out bowling, and then yeah, the one person would pull out the bumpers, and you're like, "What are you doing? Come on," you know.
Yeah, yeah. If they were like 9 years old, fine.
Yeah, if they're a little
It's like,
kid and
yeah,
they have to
yeah.
pick it
Then
up
they
with
can
both
play with
hands
the bumpers.
and granny roll it, then yeah,
Uh,
whatever. You're letting
Everyone,
that
check
fun.
out Paul's YouTube channel here, and I am going to.
Only one video so far. It's the top 10 list. I'm not going to do the movies and all that stuff. That's for you guys who have
Yeah,
thousands of subscribers already. I don't want to.
and so well, you have almost as many subscribers as I did in my first year, so you're doing
Oh,
good.
geez.
You
There
have
you
20.
go.
Oh, it took me over a year to have over 36 subscribers.
Holy crap! Wow.
And I only had like 6 videos for that first year,
Gotcha.
and then it's like then it finally, it took like another year to break like 200 or something like that.
Sure.
It's slow and steady kind of thing,
Yeah.
but
It's a
yeah,
fun
everyone
process
check
though.
that out.
Learning how to use like OBS and all these tools to
Oh,
try
I
to
don't
like.
do OBS. I've never. If you figure out how to use OBS, you're a hell of a lot smarter than me. I can't
Gotcha.
figure that shit out for
Well, it's
nothing.
because that's why I was playing around with it, because you can add filters. Like I was able to sharpen up the camera because I was like, this isn't a bad camera. It's like, what is it, Logitech 920? But it just looked like total potato every time I was
Yeah.
streaming from it. So I was like, oh, you could do like I forget what it is. It's like a virtual stream or something like that. And that's how I can connect through Restream with it. And I was like, hmm, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if, because I just use, well, Restream. I don't know if Restream has anything that lets you tighten up your, do your videos, and
Hmm.
XSplit. I just use the free version of XSplit, so I don't even know if that has filters like that. You probably have to pay for,
Hmm.
those extras. I know I can change my frame rates with that, but no, Restream is I subscribe to Restream, so I don't know if it does that or not. Um, yeah, then my next upgrade might be a new camera. Well, let's see.
Yeah. The
Now,
one that I really
TPRs
need.
may not be
Okay.
therapy, but I do believe that they are good for people socially and mentally. Um, Again, I would say socially, but that are someone who is disabled. I say that as someone who is disabled and a senior. Yeah, I again, like I'm not going to discount what you believe for yourself. Like I said, I mean, I became a much better reader, as because of tabletop role playing games. You know,
Yeah.
and I was a very very slow reader. I always had good comprehension, but I was a very slow. I had a reading teacher in the sixth grade, and then you know D&D came along when I was in the sixth grade, and then I'm reading Lord of the Rings. All three. Well, not The Hobbit plus Lord of the Rings. I read all four novels in a week. All right, I was reading like 400 pages a day, you
Wow.
know, and,
Yeah.
and over a vacation, and it was like, I mean, I just fully immersed into it, and so yes, it certainly can change you as far as your your reading and your academics and whatnot. Um, uh, did it make me more open? Um, no, I think that for me, uh, junior varsity hockey opened up more doors for me than D&D. I'm
Right.
saying it's like, oh wait, he's not just a nerd. He's this and that, and that's when the first time I got selected for that, and it's like, oh wait, he's not. I was in more than one click.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, that seemed to be the kind of the thing. If you were somebody that could go between different social spheres, that
Yeah,
was, you know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think that there is something to role playing games though, because like, yeah, it'll help you read social cues and understand people
Mhm.
and understand body language, and you can tell when there's somebody who's just like they came in from a cave somewhere, and you're just like, what's wrong? And then you realize, oh, okay, they don't understand like how a conversation works, and you have to give them time. So
Yeah. I like RPG Grandma. Just
and that was the thing.
analyzing
Like
mama videos.
trying to start out because it's about a 15-minute video for the top 10. It was like there was all these false starts, and you kind of want to go for
Mm.
the perfect whatever take of it, and then at some point you're like, look, we just got to get this done, and you
Yeah,
just do
well,
it.
yeah, that's why I'm unscripted.
Yeah.
It's like the only time that I really, it's like when something really screws up, or I got
Right.
something that I was like, oh shit, that's totally wrong. Like if I, like when I'm doing my short videos, and I'm actually doing those little things with each of the books, and then it's like, oh, I read the wrong author.
Mhm.
It's like I was like, all right, I got to redo that. But that's a 3-minute video.
Yeah.
um well, I was making recordings of Fallout, my playthrough on Fallout New
Up in
Vegas,
New
which i
Vegas. Yeah.
i just redid another one. It's like, oh, I figured out how to turn off the radio because the radio kept on slamming me with not copyright strikes, but they
Hmm.
were like, no, you can't, it can't be monetized. And then once you can't monetize something, it's like nobody gets the the message that the video's out there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's like, all right, let me try. So now I figured out how to do that. And so I restarted my character and I'm like, all right, I got this little thing here and I'm going to try to launch that and see if, maybe it's just Bethesda is going to slam anything that has Fallout on there. I see
Hmm.
plenty of other people's things. They just don't have the music going.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be it. I see, when I say mentally, I mean it does help keep you sharp. Depends on the game, but Pathfinder, for instance, you're always doing math. Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's definitely going to make you sharp,
Yeah.
sharper than before, and a little bit more um, uh, attention detailed and that kind of thing. Again, you're going to be thinking about your game days before it actually happens. You start mulling it over in your head and like, all right, I hope this is where it's going to go, and maybe there's a few things I want to seed in there to see if they come across this, what is going to happen. You start pre-planning, various possibilities. That way you're not caught totally. And players can always just throw you a curveball. It's like, oh crap, I didn't think of that, and it helps you keep faster on your feet too.
Right.
So that's a definite must. Let's see, Bloodworth destroying dudes on the hockey rink. Yeah, only for junior varsity. I didn't make the varsity team. Well, the varsity team went to ice, and I couldn't ice skate yet. So I was we started off on rollerblades. When rollerblades first came out. So, but anyway, let's see. So yeah, some of the things that I have come across, and let me get to. I didn't watch your video yet, so let me bring up your video and let me. I'm going to thumbs it up before I even watch it. And
Well, there you go. Yeah, be one of
people
those
got
guys.
pissed off about that. They were like, he just started. It already has 3 likes. I was like, it's a preemptive like. Screw you,
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
I'm supporting Paul. Yeah, so I'm sure I will enjoy it. I'm gonna watch it right after this.
Well,
Um,
possibly. That's why I was wondering, yeah, if there were going to be any comments because, like, I don't have any I think the only version of D&D on there is an honorable mention for fourth ed. So I was surprised that
really,
nobody
that's
was
an
like
interesting thing. No, you have
freaking
plenty
out.
of comments.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
a
you have
few.
a
Yeah.
lot of comments. Number 6. Well, it's something.
Oh,
I
Shadow.
guess your
Yeah,
number
because
6 was
Shadow
that
was
was
trying to jump
Shadow.
in. Yeah, he was trying to jump in first, but I think I first posted the link on Bear's channel, so he
Oh,
probably
I see.
he
I
jumped
see.
on him. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have Traveler. I'm looking at it now. So I will get back
Oh,
to it.
for the
Um,
list, yeah, I could read it out. Let's see here. What do I got down here? Yeah, number 10 was Traveler. For anybody that hasn't seen it, 10 was Traveler. 9. This is the only other one that kind of represents D&D was Shadow of the Demon Lord. I like that. Just system wise, very
okay.
simple. Pendragon was next up after that. World of Darkness. Then the FFG 40K RPGs like Death Watch, Rogue Trader, Only War, all those. It's a simple percentile system, so that one's easy to play, and it's decent sci-fi. After that, we kind of go a little obscure as TNCI. It was a very specific, it's a Wuxia type action game, but it uses the Fate system. But
Yeah.
they really baked in like the different kung fu styles and stuff in that. It was really kind of cool. It was very kind of Hong Kong cinema. Powered by the Apocalypse. I know a lot of people hate that, but I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of the GM not having to roll dice. I just sit back and let the players play. I set up the pieces and they interact with them, and I'll fire
Right.
back. But it's up to them to roll because in that system, that's when you fail by rolling a 6 or under. That's when you make a hard move. Otherwise, you sit back and let them do what they want to do. And then Shadowrun is in third place, and that was in between second and third edition. Anything after that is it kind of goes well off the rails as far as the system goes. 2 was mostly for running. It was Delta Green. I I really liked it. The modules are written extremely well for it, and it's just modified Call of Cthulhu. It's very simple.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And then
modern. Yeah, Call of Cthulhu modern.
pretty much, yeah. Like if you're a
Yeah.
big fan of, I think what was it, X-Files? It's very very big with that kind of fan base. And then number one's Legend of the Five Rings. I was a big fan of the roll and keep system. I like that because for D&D it always seemed like when you leveled up you got a +1 here and there, so you got like 5% better. Whereas like Legend of the Five Rings, you could expand however you wanted, and
Right.
it was more on you calling your own raises and challenges and stuff like that, and going and fighting the dice. So
Hey, Squirrel Hermit, you just won a free membership. I'm just going through. I just handed out my 5 freebies. Jeff N for Pod. Congratulations. Make sure you guys go to my Discord so that you can get the benefits of the free membership. Forge got full DM. The forgetful
Forgetful
DM.
DM.
Yeah, the forgetful DM. So, and here we go. Swords and Stones. I think that's a second time for you. So congratulations. And finally, Shattered Saint. Congratulations.
Looks like a Dark Angel symbol.
What is this? Not sure, Cooper. 4K only war was great. 4K only war was great.
Yeah, it's a decent war game. You set up like your little regiment, and you could do all kinds of stuff. You could be paratroopers or armored unit.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, so I know I'm like thinking about. So I'm thinking about that game. The
Deadlands.
The Deadlands game. I'm also looking to do a Savage Worlds kind of just slightly postmodern kind of alien invasion kind of thing, using Savage Worlds, because I really do like that system, and I'm thinking that system might actually have some really good, enhanced humans kind of thing against whether it be bug hunting, insects, alien insect race, invades the Earth or whatever. I want it to be very, Twilight 2000 meets Starship Troopers kind of feel to it. You know what I'm saying? So not so far in advance, where the humans have, super advanced technology as well. I'm not quite sure, but that's kind of the feel I'm looking for, is to have, enhanced humans versus various alien entities, whether they're, like I said, an invasion force or whatnot, or they're just going out for the first time and going out into the galaxy and fighting these things. I'll see. Not quite a supers, not quite a, someplace in between that I'm looking to do.
Did you ever play you play a lot of PC games. Did you play the newest XCOM?
No.
No, it's a simpler, like it's definitely simpler than the previous one that had the action points and all that. It's a little bit more just procedural, very simple. The combat's like you have 2 action points. You can like move and shoot or whatever, have them go on Overwatch or throw a grenade and stuff. But the expansion for the first one had you could have cybernetic soldiers or guys where they splice alien genes with them to make them superhuman to fight the alien invasion and stuff. So that might be one to look into if that's what you're thinking about.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love the Savage World system. I really do. And I know the next person's not a fan, but I love the mechanics of it. Now, it's a dice pool system, right? So you're using you have different stats, and your stats have different sets of dice to them. It's the same thing. Like if you like Blade Runner is awesome for that. I mean, Blade Runner basically uses the same kind of mechanic. Savage Worlds, I think, is a little bit more flexible than Blade Runner was. But if you're looking for Weird West, there's really only I mean, you could use Savage Worlds for Weird West. You could use, I mean, obviously it's Deadlands, right? The newer version of Deadlands is that. Then we're looking to use the first edition of Deadlands.
Yeah.
Um, and then you also have DCC has Weird Frontiers, which is a hell of a lot of fun to play in that game, but it's a lot. It's a lot of mechanics in that game. You have tokens, you have cards, you have dice, you have this, you have you have everything under the sun. You have very, very complex player characters and abilities and everything like that. That is probably one of the most mechanically everything and this kitchen sink, in it.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a blast to play, but it's a nightmare to manage. You know what I'm saying? It's like it
Yeah.
is so much going on. Every time you shoot a gun, pull a card. You know, see, is it a face card or something extraordinary is going to happen? If it's a number card, all right, nothing's going to happen special. If it's a joker or an ace or something, it's like another whole thing. I mean, it's crazy. Every time you shoot, you have to pull a card. It's like so every time there's a question that's going to a consequence is going to happen, and then you go to the critical charts and see what happened or whatnot based on that. So it has almost that roll master kind of thing that goes on with that as well. So it's like I said, everything plus the kitchen sink in that system, but it is
Yeah.
a lot of fun to play. um I like Savage Worlds when I played it back. Yeah, yeah. Savage Worlds is a great system. So I'm looking to do Savage Worlds, and then I'm looking to potentially put together an OSC campaign of nothing but dwarves. I think that's where it's kind of leaning towards. Nothing but dwarves. So every player character is going to be a dwarf, and it's going to be a dwarf centric. Probably set in Greyhawk, but I'll see where that goes. That's like the third one on the plate kind of thing. I think I'm starting to think about my games of 2027 here after the first month of January, 2026. So
Yeah.
um, that's the kind of planning ahead, that I start thinking about. But your Deadlands is coming up probably not this week, next week.
Gotcha.
We'll see. I'm waiting on everyone to come in and let me know what kind of campaign you're looking to have, and whether you're going to be um, like a posse or marshals, or some of you going to be undead, some of you going to be this or that, or just straight up enhanced humans or whatnot. We'll
Right.
see where you want to go with it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll throw out something maybe for this Thursday. Do like a quick 20-30 minute powwow with everybody and be like, hey, what are we interested in? What are we going for? And then we
Yeah,
can kind of aim our characters during creation towards that. So,
yeah, yeah. Once I have an idea, then I was like, all right, I know where I'm going to go.
yeah.
Go with it and everything. It's a dwarf centric, excellent. Yes.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, because it's been a while since I've run a theme, a very themed campaign.
Yeah.
It's usually been open world and let them go where they want, and then you have a different mix of player characters, all together, and it's like, oh, we have a dwarf, we have an elf, we have a halfling, we have a whole bunch of humans, and and it's like, I want something that kind of binds them, unifies them under a simple thing, so that I can then have them fully explore the culture of that species or class, race, and then everything is kind of couched into that. I like the idea of all of the player characters speaking in their native language and not in common. And so
Hmm.
that becomes a unifying thing too.
Right.
Um, you know, so that's what I'm looking to do. My latest rabbit hole is Tales of
That's
Argosa.
one that's one I hear keep getting mentioned. That's the first time I've seen Stan mention it though, but that's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I'm kind of planning on. I'm looking to 2027, 1 month into 2026.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but
uh,
I think I mentioned, yeah, the dwarf centric games that I played were always fun. We played one with, even though the mechanics were awful, I think I mentioned it on somebody's channel. If you're playing
it
with
was
a group
probably
of people,
mine.
no,
Oh,
because we were playing the third edition Warhammer Fantasy, the one with like the weird
okay.
red chips and funny dice and stuff like that. But my buddy was like a board game designer, so we played with that, and then we were just dwarves trying to reclaim a hold. So he had these different terrain cards like in a deck that we would shuffle, and then as we were like exploring deeper and deeper down, he just kept laying out the cards, and that was like the hold as we were exploring it. And then we could dig tunnels and search for veins of ore and stuff and do dwarfy stuff. It was a really fun system.
Have a good night, off grid. Yeah, everything you like about it, you like. Yeah.
He's gonna sell me on that like he did Dragonbane. I'm gonna,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm trying to
yeah,
cut back, and because now I have a convention coming up in April. So I'm like saving up for that. And then I have some breathing room. Between April and then June. Mike, April, May, June. Actually, it's only 2 months in between them, but those conventions are already kind of set. I already got them booked and everything.
yeah.
So yeah, it's
Check your
uh,
Discord, Mike. I sent you
yeah.
a
You
link.
want the yeah? I'll put the join. Oh, well, wrong one. Cancel. Yes, I'll put the join link out there. There you go. There you go, Mike.
There wasn't any Balrog since it was the Warhammer universe, but there was definitely like, oh, what's
Yeah.
this? Oh, a Skaven tunnel, and then we just had to deal with an infestation.
RPG Grandma, if you want in on that, you are welcome to play a female dwarf in the four male dwarf group. If you want, I might even have two female dwarfs because I have another. I have a player who is obviously a female player. Lee would possibly join that one too. So I'd love to have you play in it. So it would be 2 and 2 then, because I'm looking to four or possibly five players, but so 3 to 2 wouldn't be bad. I always imagine like dwarven, female dwarves being like Valkyries slash, like shield maidens kind of,
Hmm.
aesthetic to them and everything. And I've already been house ruling some of it already. I was like, oh, you know what? I want them all to stick to the OSC rules as far as but they're going to be um, an elite group right from the start. Even though they'll be first level and everything. And I was like, you know what? You know, if there is a dwarven magic user, which is possible, I see. I'll be like, well, if they have magic mithril armor, they'll be able to cast spells while wearing that. You know,
There you go. Yeah.
that's one way to make them, the dwarfiest of dwarfs. It was like yeah, you get to do this. How's it going, Mike?
Is he frozen?
Oh, you might have froze already, Mike.
He's in my house. I see him.
All
How dare you?
right.
Easy come, easy go.
Reboot, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how they always looked in Warhammer Fantasy. They looked like the big Valkyrie woman in like an opera or
Yes.
something like that. And I think, yeah, their big mating custom was like you couldn't marry the dwarf female unless your beard could wrap fully around her waist.
That's
You
an
needed a
interesting
nice
concept.
long beard, yeah.
Yeah, but I was already like looking through all of that too. I was looking through like where am I going to put it? I was like Greyhawk, and I was looking, looking for places for them to start. And I think I got a place already for them to start. Like I said, I already started plotting everything out. See if we got you now, Mike. Nope, you're logging in frozen, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to
So,
remember too. I think Musings did a top 10 RPG list too.
yes,
and
I saw his.
as
I
silly
saw
as that
his
kind of
today as
seems,
well.
as silly as it seems, like where people just kind of are jaded and they're like, well, that's just to kind of keep up with the algorithm or whatever. And I think it's a good mental exercise because definitely it helped me
Yeah,
kind of
no,
lock down and think like, what do I really appreciate about these games? And then you put it out there. So
yeah, it's not a, it's. I know that some people have come out and they've been like, oh, this is a, this is not a good thing, or everyone's going to start coming out. Well, who cares?
yeah,
It's like, who cares? It's like, I
yeah,
don't care if 50 other people have done it. It's like, just like when we used to do the RPG a day thing, those, which I stopped doing after a while. They give you those. It's like August. You're supposed to put a video up every single day using
oh
their
yeah,
prompts, and I can never keep up with that. Number one,
yeah,
and most of the times the prompts are like, they're just repetitive. I mean, they've been doing it for like 6 or 7 years, maybe
yeah.
even longer. And I'm like,
That's like the artists that do Inktober. It's just like, yeah, not a
yeah,
lot of them finish. They're like doing 30. What is
yeah.
that? How many days in October? Is it 31 days
But
of
this
ink
year,
drawings?
with these top tens that everybody's been doing, not a single person's top 10 was matching more than 3 games.
Yeah.
Got you now. Can't hear you though.
Yeah, we are still zero sound. Yeah, because I was checking out DM James. He did his top 10 list, and I think the only one that we had that matched was Traveler, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, which is cool, though. It gets those games out there. And if you have any questions about any of the games on my list, ask me. I've played them, so I will let you know. Barely.
Still
about
no
now?
sound on you, Mike.
Yes.
How about
It's a little bit better.
A
A
little
little
bit.
bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cutting out,
like,
so maybe it's you need to speak up or whatever. You hiding in the broom closet at work and
Dude, I'm in my condo, dude. Chilling.
oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the
Yeah, I gotta
condo.
be quiet though, so I don't want the Pinkertons to hear me, so I gotta be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
All right, Kathonic, thanks for stopping in. Yeah, I'm gonna check the rest of your top 10, which I saw. Grandma, I have to give my family TLC, so I need to find out if another game online is doable. Well, yeah, the invite is always there. And if you ever decide to run Star Frontiers, I'm there. I'm there big time
There you go.
for your Star Frontiers game. I can't keep up with the video a day. I am way too busy usually. Yeah, I can never keep up with that one anyway.
Do not expect that. Yeah, I might do a one a week possibly. Hopefully it'll build up, but one a day.
Yeah, one a day is just impossible.
Not looking to make this a career. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention Bloodworth. Like, I totally understand what you mean about the whole mental health issue. Like, I get there's so much weird stuff going on for the last like 10, 15 years in tabletop. I totally understand why you'd be like, no, this is not. It's a really complex issue, but I think what the point that I was trying to make is that it's just really like people are really isolated from one another these days, especially like adult men. Like, there's just not a lot. Not to leave out women, I'm not trying to discount that, but there's been a lot of talk and study about adult men in particular just being extremely like isolated, lonely. There's a whole male loneliness epidemic, which some people don't take it seriously, but it's a very real thing. And to me, it's being able to have like a hobby that you do together with other people, even if it's online, just being able to be there with a couple guys and laugh and play a game that's not only a game where you got to learn the rules and read, but you also there's a creative element to it where you got to kind of engage those creative muscles. I think it's a really great hobby it's one of the best hobbies to be a part of.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see where I think for most guys, I guess our age or whatever, it's like, you know, we don't have the same, we're either working, and then we come home, we have our families, taking care of them and everything like that. Yeah, we're much to the, much to the chagrin of our, you know, opposing side, of this hobby that thinks we're all incels. Most of us have families, and we have jobs that we go to, or even for some of us that are retired, we did all of that stuff, and it's just that, for coming back to the hobby, as a late 40 something, was kind of a weird thing, right? So I came back, like I said, I came back in 2015. Um, so it has been 11 years back. So I was 40, 48 at the time, when I came back to this thing. And my wife is not a gamer. My kids aren't gamers, and they're, I'm fortunate enough that, they don't mind this behind me, and they don't mind me doing this thing, but it's still something that they're like, oh, that's so nerdy, that's so, and it's like, well, it's like I could either do this, or I could, I'll probably spend a lot more money shooting, going to the range and
Yeah.
blowing through ammo like crazy, or worse yet, I could be, sitting there and hitting hitting the bottle and doing other stuff. It's
100
like,
different
yeah,
yeah
you know,
ways.
it's like there's other hobbies that I could be doing that would be either more costly or less, less desirable than playing some games with a bunch of friends online or whatever. But I feel that, like, what you're saying is like, I couldn't go to the public library and start running games there. It's like it would be so weird, you know. And what am I going to do? Try to attract people to the table that are 20, 30 years younger than me? That's freaking weird too. So it's like, at a convention, it's totally different because everybody's there doing the same thing. So in the convention space, it's a lot, I could see, it's a lot more acceptable, but outside of that, you're outside of the sphere. This is still a very niche hobby that most people don't either look well upon, or whatnot. So I could definitely see where you're coming from, as far as, it does open up the hobby for more people to feel like it's accessible, and it's a little bit more, um, it's a little bit more cool than it used to be, I guess. But
I just want to be clear. I'm definitely in favor of gatekeeping.
oh, excuse me.
I'm definitely in favor of gatekeeping. I think
Yeah.
that's a topic, but I meant just like, out of all the things that you could spend your free time on with other people, I think it's exception. I think it's really good for people,
Oh yeah.
to have like this kind of thing that they're doing that's so interdisciplinary. To use the school that you got to do. All the reasons why it's good for kids, it's also good for adults. You got to read the
Yeah.
book, do a little bit of math. There's a creative component. That's just really, I mean, I was talking with one of our groups recently. We were all talking about this, that like, it's not a meme. It's not a cliche. It's a real thing. It's very difficult to have any kind of meaningful friendships with anyone after 30 or even after 25 sometimes. And, so I think it's a bridge to a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's not a substitute for professional help. Absolutely not. And it's not
No.
a place for people to live out their narcissistic dreams or whatever. It's not a lot of things. I'm totally with you on that. I am in favor of gatekeeping. I think that's never been an issue until the last decade or so. But I just think it's a really good activity. It's one of the best
Yeah.
hobbies to have in terms
Yeah.
of what
Yeah, no, it's certainly a hobby. Like I said, it helps you socialize. If you were very introverted, and it does. The other thing, which we haven't mentioned yet, that I think is really outstanding about it, is it's cooperative. It's non-competitive.
Yeah.
And so it is a way where, five people can come together, five, six people come together, and they're working, including the game master, they're working for, in a cooperative effort, to make sure that, something heroic is happening at the table. It's usually positive minded too. Very few people run negative campaigns. Very few people run evil campaigns. And they tend not to last very long at all. And but I think for the most part, people are running, and there's very few DMs or GMs out there that are adversarial. I know that's another, like a you know, I think a myth out there that anybody runs their games to be against their players. That makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think anybody rolls their dice, hoping, ooh, I hope I can kill a player character with this die roll. No, I don't think anybody does that. So, yeah, I think that it's, the thing to focus on is that it is cooperative, and it does help people break out of, their introverted, shells that they might have as well.
Yeah, I mean that's why people use it for team building exercises.
Mhm.
It's definitely the cooperativeness of it. So yeah.
I got to dip out, but I got two questions for you guys before I go.
Sure.
Sure.
Straight from the condo. Got two questions from my boys here. So, Bloodworth, what are some of the most frequent disruptions that you get at the table? What are the most frequent requests or disruptions or things that are issues that constantly come up? And then Paul,
Yep.
If you're ever interested in doing a stream about old school Shadowrun with me, that would be really cool, because I keep into tons of old school Shadowrun people that really love the original editions, and it just seems like something that people keep talking about. So it'd be nice to go into that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm out.
I think the most frequent that I've had is discovering how certain spells can be exploited, and that's partly due to just the poorly written descriptions of spells, and it's like, or not fully thinking them through. So yeah, when I've come across is that, I've seen certain spells, like I use that example of the invisibility spell, and the way the invisibility spell was written in Castles and Crusades, and I don't know if it crosses over the same with D&D or AD&D. I'm, without a way for it to just stop working. Like I would say that, it doesn't explicitly say that when you go to sleep you lose the spell, so that you cannot sleep invisible. That would be, something that should be written in there, because otherwise a player will look at it and say, "Oh no, it's only when I attack something, that's when I'm no longer, invisible," and it's just poor writing of the spell, description. So I've had more issues, and I'm going to try to think of my issues with players that I've had, because, like I said, I've only had about 4 or 5 players in these years. So my first problematic player was a player who wanted to be in the spotlight always, and wanted to have his character's desires to do things, to be always at the central focus. And he didn't start out this way, but he developed this over about a 5 or 6 week time frame, and really started to become an issue in weeks like 7 or 8 or something. So he was with us for like 2 months, playing fine, and then all of a sudden started having these issues with his character wanting to be in the spotlight. So that's the first one. Second one that I had wasn't even my player. It was it was a player that was joining our group, which was the one I described earlier, which was one that wanted to play a tiefling in D&D, Me, say, where it doesn't even exist in that setting and everything. It was a homebrew setting. They didn't have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just couldn't wrap his head around. It was like, no, you could play any of these other things. Actually, it wasn't even Me. It was a Holmes edition that we were playing. And, so that was another one. It was like, and right from the get-go, like he came in, this is what I want to do, but I don't understand why I can't play this. And, the DM was like, hey, this is like the first session where, we already did our session zeros. I'm letting you come in and play, but you're going to have to take one of these pre-gens at this point. And he was, until you can develop a character later on if you want, but for now, for this game session, play one of the, and he was just, so that was the second one. Third one that I had was another player who always wanted one more thing, so even when I was trying to, do various things to help this player character fit the role that he was in, I don't want to reveal anything about explicitly what I'm talking about, but it's like I gave a magic item that was specific to that class, and that wasn't good enough. I, gave hints about, hey, this is something that you can do. That wasn't good enough. Instead wanted to do his own thing when he wanted to do it, and the rest of the party was like, no, we need to do this now. We're kind of on a timetable. And it's like, oh no, I'm going to, bring this thing along with us, and and with no explanation of how it's going to actually manage that whole situation. So again, it was like another kind of spotlight character kind of moment, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the fourth one was the invisibility spell, magic user, where he never wanted to be at risk, and he lost his mind when I had werebores able to smell him and thus attack him, even though he was invisible. How could they do that? I says, they're werebores. It was like, they have they have a lot of the abilities of a boar. A boar can smell a fucking mushroom buried under 50 feet of earth. They could smell your sweaty ass running away from them. You know what I'm saying? It's like they can smell you. Now, I'm invisible. I says, not from smell. You're, and that was the whole argument. Was no, this is something that is going to be able to detect you. Either it's intelligent enough, and it has other senses. It's going to see, your footprints, kicking up the dust as you're running around, So it was just again, another person who never wanted their character, not even character death, didn't want their character at risk at all during the thing, and to the detriment of everybody else. So that's the kind. That's the.
Was that why it was big that he was invisible while he slept? Because that guy totally would have had his head crushed in with a rock.
It's like,
guys, I just finished remembering my spells, and like, hey, sweet dreams, buddy.
Yeah, he had 2 spells that he cast. That's it. He would cast web on everybody, including your own party members, web on everybody. And then he would back away as far as he could from the combat, and then would cast invisibility, and just sit there and let everybody else slog it out, and it was like, and this was a player that was in like 3 of my games, so it was in like 3 of my games. And at that point I was like, I'm just done. And I just booted him from everything. It's like, just can't have it. He was, equally problematic in every single game. And I was like, nah, it's just not worth it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not worth having a full seat if the guy's just going to do annoying little stuff. And especially, from what I understand, this wasn't a kid. This was a grown man that was doing stuff like this. So it's like people grow old; they don't always grow up. So
yeah. Yeah, that spell is definitely broken in that, and there should be a timer on it. Should definitely be a timer on it. Oh, we got Bear coming in. Let's see.
Hello, how are
Hey
you?
Bear, how's it going?
Hey, it is nice to be seeing you, my friend.
Yes.
I'm finally
Good to
catching
be
one of your
seeing you
live
as
shows.
Well, so how's the new channel coming along? The new
Really well.
reboot?
Really well.
Good.
The minute I made the step into opening myself up to Shadow Dark because people were saying it was really good for Final Age, and they're right. The Shadow Dark community has been very supportive. I gained 100 subs in a week. Like it's been really, and they're nice people, and they're supportive, and they're open, and it's like I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked.
No, Shadow Dark is an awesome system. It is one of the best systems to play at a convention, and and the support around the system, with very few exceptions where people like poo-poo at it, and everything like it's like, those that are like, it's not OSR, it's a 5e clone. I was like,
so what?
Stop it. Just stop it.
I mean, that's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, I know. It's like just stop it. It's so nonsense. It's like when she was 12, when Kelsey Dion was 12, she was playing at Gary Gygax's table, and he said, "You should be dungeon mastering." You know what I'm saying? That's her pedigree. All right, she played at his table, and he said she should be DMing.
Thanks,
so don't tell me that she's not old school, and what she's looking to do with her new Kickstarter is basically introducing West marches to.
Well, and the thing is that the people are so weird. I got a lot of shit thrown at me by certain people, and I got a lot of weird messages and comments. I was being accused of being a sellout, a bandwagon jumper, and all I could say is, I said it today on the video I posted up saying thank you to the community for being so supportive that they've been. It's like, what a crazy idea. A publisher wants to make money, so he goes to where the money is. What? Well, I'm a bad person, clearly.
Yeah. It's like, do they say that to all the people with like 100,000 subs that were basically on the 5e bandwagon? Probably. It's like, listen, I mean, no one that is kind of in our space is going to hit 100,000 ever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there is no real bandwagons, in our space. We're fortunate enough to hit the 10,000 plus. And I know I just saw like Eric Tenkar hit 10,000. Eric Tenkar has been around for what, 15 years more? You know what I'm saying? So it's like none of us are on any kind of a bandwagon. Do we go over the same things as each other do? Yes, because we watch each other, and we're inspired by each other. So it's like like some people will be like, oh, you're just doing the top 10 like everybody else. Well, yeah, because it's an interesting topic. All of our top 10s are different. Not a single one of us are going to come out with the same fucking 10 games in that order if we even bother putting them into the order. And then we did movies, and we did this and that, and we could do novels next. Who knows? And maybe that will be the next one. So everybody do top 10 novels. Your top 10.
I just did the games. I only did the games. I wasn't interested in doing the movies and stuff.
Oh, come on! You got to do the music. Do music. Do your bands.
No. My channel's about role-playing games.
Do it on your other channel. You still have your music channel, right?
That's about my music. It's like,
all right. Well, so do your top 10. Do your top 10 bands on your music channel. I'll watch it over there.
No.
So anyway, it's like, it's crazy. It's like, oh, you guys are just, I'll never forget the time that another YouTuber out there attacked both me and Eric Tankar because we're retirees and we have time to do this. It's like, I'm sorry. It's like, that's just kind of the way it is. I'm not going to apologize that I have some extra leisure time since I've retired that I can do a YouTube channel. It's like so upset. Well, you're on a fixed income. You're on a pension. You don't have to do this for money. I was like, no, I don't do this.
Nobody
for money.
does.
I do this because it's fun. If I make any money from this, I turn it around and put it right back into it. I'll buy a game, from drive-through or whatever, because it does raise that money, or I'll go to a convention because it does, it'll cover my hotel for a night, but
you freaking sellout.
But yes, I'm a sellout.
You dirty. And it's just like RPG Grandma says right there, jealous of other people's success, pocket watching. That was the big thing. Shadow Dark hit $3 million, and they were like, she's got to be awful. She made $3 million.
What a horrible person. She didn't tap into a zeitgeist. No. She's a bad person. But this is one of the problems I have with, and I've said this repeatedly in the video, so I don't care if anybody gets mad at me about it. When I was in the BX OSR community, anytime I would propose a change, like I'm thinking about figuring out how to do feats for BX type thing, I would go play 5th edition, and some of these people are named people being really mean about it, right? And I'm like, okay. When I was in the 5th edition community, and I was like, I think I'm going to try this and change this up, and maybe make subclasses this, or move Druid shape change to level 8. Well, why don't you just go play AD&D? And I'm like, holy crap. In the Shadow community, I'm like, I'm thinking about doing this thing for Ancestries. Oh, that sounds really cool. I don't know if I'd use it, but it sounds cool. Have fun. What?
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to yell at me? You bucket crab? Aren't you supposed to pull me down? Like, come on.
I love that analogy too. Bucket crabs.
That's what they are. They're the haters are bucket crabs. If you have any level of success, they're going to hate on you for any little thing they don't like about what you're doing. And at the end of the day, I don't give a. Am I allowed to swear on your channel?
Yeah. It's live.
I don't give a fuck.
Live streams are more flexible than regular YouTube.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck. You want to hate me? Hate me to your heart's content. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
That's all I ask. Just go hate me go hate me quietly. Please.
Yeah. Yeah, and at no point, if you share your opinion with me, am I gonna go, oh, I was wrong. You are correct, random person on the internet. I will change the way I look at my hobby because of you. That's. If we talk face to face, or we have kind things to say, I'm a little more receptive. But yeah, that's.
I was thinking that I was going to go with Shadow Dark, but now that you've called me a flip-flopping sellout bandwagoner, you're right. What was I thinking? Thanks so much.
I'm going to go crack open Sky Realms of Jeroen and make a clone of that. See how well I do.
Jesus Christ. Well, I've got a buddy of mine. He publishes OSR stuff, but he does a 5e version first to make money to buy the art he wants to use in the OSR, because he wants to use that OSR art style, right? And some of his OSR customers were giving him garbage about it, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Because you people don't buy enough shit. So because you don't buy enough shit, I got to make stuff for the community that gives me money, so I can make the shit for you." And like that shut them up. They were, I can't really fight that point, can I? And it's like, there you go, end of story.
So, I support every GM DM house rule in a way. Yes, you have to. Because sometimes some of the stuff is broken, and some of the stuff is not play tested. I mean, you can't tell me that Silvery Barbs was play tested. Or thought through at all. It's like, talk about the same people that would argue, "Oh, you can't cast a charm spell because you're taking away the agency," but Silver Barbs undoes somebody else's die roll. It's like, talk about the same thing. It's like the hypocrisy of it is incredible.
But we were talking about Shadow Dark the other night. Paul was there. I think you were there. And we were talking about the thing, and I mentioned the word ancestry. And we were like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then Shadow, I love him to tears. He's like, let me ask you a question. What's wrong with the word race? And I'm like, we're not here to debate this, Shadow. This is not a debate we're having, brother.
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff that drives me nuts. Is that like when it can't just be a game, it has to be a lifestyle, it has to be an identity, it has to be all these other things. It just can't be just a game.
Yeah,
Can we
it
just
has
make
to
it
be a
game?
statement. And it's like we're talking about using this as the framework, and their framework it's called ancestries. So that's that. You know,
So I'm going to call it ancestries because that's the framework. You know,
Yeah.
it's so weird. People are so weird, but I don't care. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to make great games, and I'll go broke. It'll be fun because you're not going to make any money doing it, so you might as well go broke. Smiling.
Yeah, she did. She got her start making stuff for 5e because
Yeah.
that was the game that was out there at the time. What was she going to do? Make stuff for 4e? It was like, you know, and now she makes one of the most popular RPGs on the market. Yes, you know, and growing. It is blowing up at conventions. Absolutely blowing up at conventions.
It's a great start. I think that's the thing. People are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, there's not a whole lot of rules." And I'm like, I'm fine with that for base rules. You can
Yeah.
play the game is playable at its base. Now everything she's adding on, every zine, every other expansion, is something you can modularly snap on to. You know.
She's doing the exact same thing that their beloved Gavin Norman did with OSE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple base game. Now I'm expanding it through zines or supplements.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
Why is when he does it, it's brilliant. When she does it, sell out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
God, these
Well,
people.
you know, and the other thing is that it is so simple that, you know, and I've said this before, my introduction to Shadow Dark was running it at a convention. All right. Talk about a system that is so easy to pick up and run that you'll do it at a convention and it still runs smoothly and you have an easy time doing it and just incredible. Hey, thanks a lot there for the comment. And
James said, "Hello, friends. Hyperborea is best game of all time." Literally, that's what he said in Russian. In case you're wondering.
So no,
That's GM
Hyperborea
James.
would still be written out as Hyperborea.
No, I just ran it through Google Translate. He literally
okay.
said,
Yeah.
"Hello, friends. Hyperborea is greatest game of all time."
That could be, and you know, hey, I ran Hyperborea. I played in Hyperborea. I played in Jeffrey Talanian's game of Hyperborea. Absolutely loved it. So did Ducato. We played the same game together, and it is an awesome game. And I can't wait until he releases his source book for Comorium for Hyperborea. So can't wait. Once that setting gets fully fleshed out and everything, I think the game will become even more playable than it is now.
We played Shadow Dark last night on my channels. First time I ever ran it, and it's easy.
Yeah.
It's beyond easy to run.
Yeah.
We had a blast, and no one was arguing about, well, does this synchronize with that? And do I get a synergy bonus? And no, it was just like, okay, what I got? Okay, cool, great, bro. Here's your DC. Roll a die. Let's find out what happens.
I will share with you my homebrew for making it a little bit more dynamic and everything.
Please don't.
Oh, don't.
Because I'm going to be
Okay.
publishing, and if I were to accidentally forget it was
Oh,
your rule and then
gotcha.
add it in, I don't want to get sued
All
or
right.
be accused of stealing. No, please don't. After I publish, absolutely, I'll take a look.
Okay. All right.
Unless you're okay with me using someone by putting a credit in the front, additional content by Richard Bloodworth. You know,
Could do that too, but I don't care either way. So you can,
but I
you
do.
can freely steal my stuff if you wish.
All right, that sword is mine,
That's
and
you know. So let's see. Yes, it's well-known, simply way to produce a game. Good Lord, even original D&D did it. Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
simple
It's
game
like,
expansions. Yeah,
yeah. And we are all chomping at the bit.
no, it's champing.
March
Actually, the proper term for that is champing. Believe it or not. I thought all my life I thought it was chomping at the bit, and then I found out no, it's champing is the term.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Like a horse.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they champ apparently.
I thought it was chomping. All right.
Me too. I was right there with you, brother.
Right up until 30 seconds ago, I know it was chomping. But yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I mean, you don't get more old school than going back to West Marches and implementing that. It's like, okay, that's
Well,
probably because she went to Dave Con. I think she went to
Probably.
Dave Con and she was playing in David Wesley's game of
Okay.
Bronstein West marches and everything, and I think that influenced her as well.
Well,
I think
that's
that's
what.
like.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's like the next evolution of it, because like as the game as it is, it's good for dungeon crawling, but overland stuff is like kind of woefully
Right.
neglected in the book. So that's why this new rule set's going to snap that on, where it's like, no, here's the overland map, and now you can move around.
Which is funny because I have to add that stuff for Final Age because Overland is such a big part of Final Age, right? So it's the dungeons are the lowest part of Final Age. So it's gonna be like, all right, well, how do I make rules no one else has used? And so what I'm doing is I'm looking at Adventures in Middle Earth, and the idea of locations have some are havens where if you go and it'll release your stress, and some are corrupting, and if you go there and you bad things will happen. I'm starting to look into that stuff to see what I can do with it. But man, it's so easy to make stuff for this game.
Yeah, it's such posers. I love that. So Morkborg posers. And let's see. Again. So, all right.
What are you doing?
Hang on. I'm on it. Because I get to do this. Kelsey Dion is a solid 6 with a little work, maybe some gothic styling. She could be a solid 8 or 9. Yeah, gabosh, gigi. Pizda, that is crazy talk. Chorta.
Yes. Well, thank you, DM James, for your Russian.
No, it's Tsar James the First tonight.
Tsar James the First, yes. Hey, I learned it is historically appropriate to split your infinitives. It's just fine.
Why not? English is a made-up language. Like, legitimately, it is a made-up language.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So I don't know where you stood on this, Bear. So
go for it.
If a player came to you and said, "I don't want my character to be able to die in your game," what would be your response?
Well, it's nice to want things.
Yeah.
And that would be my response. And I just stare at them until they felt awkward. But ultimately, I'd be like, sorry, no, I guess this isn't the game for you. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so far, that has been virtually everyone's response is, you don't have to be impolite about it. You just basically say, sorry, this is not the game for you. I wish you luck in your search for what you're looking for. But you're not going to find it here.
You got to turn to Curly Bill Brocious when they go, I don't want to die in your campaign. Just let them go, well, bye.
Yeah.
That'll end the entire conversation right there. What about my feelings, Staccato? What about my feelings?
Be sensitive to my feelings. I was sensitive to your feelings. Yeah. I said, hey, best of luck to you. I'm looking for what you're looking for. You're not going to find it here.
Mark from Indy uses an expression my mother uses, which is, she said, she says, you can shit in one hand and wish in another and see which piles up first.
Yeah. English is advanced pigeon, yes.
It really is, though.
Yeah.
Like, I have an email sign. I can't remember where I saw it on the internet, but I copied it right away. I mean, it is one of my personal email signature lines, which is, the English language was invented by Norman invaders trying to pick up Anglo-Saxon girls. The resulting language is as legitimate as the resulting children. It was just like, that's perfect. Yeah, but my 2-page backstory.
In case you don't know by now, Coco, since you're one of my players, I tend not to read backstories anyway. It's like, I have had players say, have you read my backstory? No, I haven't gotten around to it yet. It's like, just work it into your story as we're playing, and I'll If
you can't tell me your backstory in like 2 seconds while we're talking about your character, you've overthought your starting level character's backstory.
Well, I've always said that like a first level character should have virtually, that's why I always start off, when I start off a new campaign, I always start them off at first level. I always start them off as the youngest possible age for that character, class, and race that they could possibly be. Because I don't want to know that you have all of these, all of this stuff that you've already done. I want to know where you're from, why you're adventuring, and maybe a little bit of family background. Like where did you get your secondary skills if the system has secondary skills? And that's it. All right. A first level character, a paragraph, maybe 2. That's it. If you're second or third level, maybe add another 2 paragraphs to it. And that's it. But I've told my players, just give me like a short-term goal and a medium-term goal. I don't want you to think beyond that right now. We'll see how your campaign like unfolds, and we'll see where you're going with it. But for the most part, I care more about what you're doing now and going forward than what your character supposedly did in the past. Mr.
Did you take your meds today?
Zara James the First. Thank you
Zara
again
James
for
the First
the super
said,
chat.
And he says, I hope your share of super chats is big enough that you can afford a bottle of your favorite liquor to warm you up in these cold times. Vodka always does the trick, my friend.
No, vodka is boring. The only time I've had good vodka, my brother came home from Russia with a pepper vodka, right? So it was a pepper infused or whatever, black pepper infused vodka, and that was delicious.
Yeah.
But regular vodka, whether it's
has no smell, no flavor.
It's no flavor to it. That's why I'm a rum drinker. I like rum. That vodka just doesn't have it for me, except for that pepper vodka.
I can't do gin. I cannot do gin. When I was a teenager, we stole a bottle of Beefeater from my father, and we drank it. And we got so drunk I threw up, and it came up my nose, throw up level drunk. So now, whenever I smell gin, it reminds me of vomiting a Christmas tree. It's just like no, can't do that.
That's why I can't touch Jack Daniels. When the Doors movie came out, which was the week before I went to basic training. So Doors movie came out, and so I'm sitting there at a friend's house. I did 17 shots and drank at least a 6-pack of beer, while watching the movie. So within 2 hours, that was my consumption within 2 hours. Well, needless to say, I didn't see the end of the movie. I woke up probably about 3 hours later, went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror, and my face was like swollen, like you wouldn't believe. I was like, I had alcohol poisoning, like another couple shots and I would have probably died, and I was like, never could I even smell Jack Daniels again without just getting that, feeling the bile come up through my throat. It's like, just wanting to throw up again. Haven't touched it since. So that was when I was 22 years old. So I haven't touched it in 37 years.
Holy shit. That's a while. No, I'm not that time for gin. Now, the first time I did mushrooms was hilarious. We did mushrooms, first time I ever did them. And the place it was in college. We were renting a house, a bunch of us. We were sharing a house, and my room was in the basement, and it had its own bathroom, but it was like a stall shower and all that. And the tile on the floor was black, but all the fixtures were white. So I'm tweaking out on shrooms, and I decided I got to take a pee, right? So I go to take a pee, and as I'm staring at this white toilet on a black tile, it suddenly just goes, it just becomes this little white dot in the distance, and I'm like, oh, because I'm like, now I'm worried. I'm just painting the room at this point, I'm sure, right? And
My God.
I was fine, but it was just like my perception was like, nope, no, you're now peeing into a star in the night sky. Enjoy that. It's like, yep. Sadly, it didn't stop me from doing mushrooms again, but
So, Ouzo is better than vodka? I don't know if I've had Ouzo.
Yeah, it's got an interesting taste. It almost tastes like licorice, almost.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't like it then. That's like what's the Italian, like anisette.
Anisette, or the French one, Pernod. Pernod is very
Yeah.
much. You take orange juice and Pernod together, and it's a fabulous flavor. On its
Yeah.
own, you're like literally you're drinking industrial level liquid.
Yeah, I only like anisette and cookies. That's it. You know, but I prefer rum cake. Rum cookies better anyway.
Can't hit rise like Twitter in a bottle. Fair. So what other gaming stuff you got going on there, Blood?
So my Tuesday night game is Dragon Slayer.
Yeah.
And then I have nothing else until Deadlands next week. Not this upcoming Thursday, but the following Thursday, Deadlands with you in it, obviously. So we need to touch bases and try to get an idea of where you guys want to, like what's your character concepts and stuff like that. And then the following Thursday night, we'll roll with it. It's got to alternating Thursdays with Shadow. Oh my God, it's not going to be next Thursday night. It's going to be the following one after that, the 19th, I believe.
Yeah, it's a while away.
It's like, yeah, so that'll give us plenty of time to get a concept and everything like that. So yeah, because not this Thursday, but next Thursday is Shadow's game again.
All right, well, here's my concept. I'll tell you my concept right now, and I hope you're really cool with it, because it's the Weird West. My character is an SJW from 2015 who falls through a time portal and arrives back in the Weird West and just spends all of their time poo-pooing everybody for their political inappropriateness.
Okay.
I think that could be
interesting. I don't think that's going to work.
That'll work out. I'm gonna play a Lakota Brave, so you can sit there and tell me how much I've suffered, and every time I try to speak up, you'll be like, "Oh no, I'll speak for you."
No, please let me.
Only I truly understand what you've been through.
Yeah,
exactly.
Every time you take a step, you have to shed a tear. Right?
Yeah.
Wow, that was dark.
Yeah.
Wow, I wasn't expecting a Trail of Tears joke tonight. That was pretty good.
Well, that's a historian to me. I know where to go dark. Yeah,
clearly.
So yeah, I mean, like if you guys want to be, undead U.S. Marshals, you could certainly do that.
No, I'm just gonna do a gunslinger. I'm just gonna play my salty, bitter gunslinger who says "fuck" a lot and leave it at that.
Good. Yeah, you will be a group of four. So like the four horsemen of the
Great Western Plains,
or whatever you want to be.
The Great Western Plains. Well, thank you, Ultra TTRPG for thanks, Hunter, for buying the game. I appreciate it.
I am the Lizard King for real. Yeah.
It looks like you might have 5 actually, because there's 2 people I don't reckon. Well, actually, no, that one I think that's Timmy. So is that 4? Oh no, Doc. We're forgetting Doc. Yeah, that's 5.
Oh, Doc is in. All right, so we have 5. Cool.
Yeah.
Timmy's playing? Like Timmy?
Oh yeah, I could have sworn.
Leth is playing. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. He's in the chat. Yeah, for that. So
he's in the chat for that, Greg.
Yeah, there's only one that I don't recognize, so that might be the, as per usual, rando that you get who's very excited and then never shows up. For any online game.
So I'm on my Discord to see who's what, but yeah. So that, and then I'm kind of dabbling around Bear to answer your question. But these are probably games that will happen sometime in 2027. I'm looking to play in someone's OSC. Waiting to see if that happens. That's either going to be in Middle Earth or in Dragonlance. I'm hoping Middle Earth. I'd rather that than Dragonlance, but we'll see. I should say Kryn, but either Middle Earth or Kryn.
The only way
I will not play a halfling in Kryn because I'm just not dealing with that. But
Kender, yeah.
But I'll definitely play a hobbit in Middle Earth.
I would 100% play a Kender in Dragonlance game, but I would play him so against type. He'd be
Yeah.
like a pipe smoking bitter alcoholic.
Mhm.
It was just like, something goes missing there. Yeah, blame the Kender, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically a dwarf, but in Kender skin.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
and then I'm looking to do my own OSC campaign, but probably for 2027, all dwarfs. And then and that'll be set in Greyhawk, and then I'm looking at Deadlands. No, Deadlands is you guys. I'm looking at a Savage Worlds.
Nice.
Kind of like an earlier time frame period of like Starship Troopers kind of thing, or maybe something along the lines of like a Forever War kind of sci-fi kind of thing, like Forever War is an incredible novel. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. Oh shit, what was his name?
Is it Joe Haldeman?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible sci-fi. But I'm trying to work on a Saturday game, Mike. So I'm definitely trying to work on it. That's when the OSE game is supposed to be on Saturdays, and Saturday would be my open game. So I have Tuesday. So I would be gaming on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So every other day. So that's definitely no CNC at this time. I tried doing CNC about a year and a half ago or so. That was a Saturday game, and again, players just didn't show. It's like I ended up with like 2 players and didn't show. Maybe it wasn't Saturday. I forget when I was doing that game. I had a Shadow Dark game on Saturdays too, but one of the players actually passed away, and it took everything out of the group.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it just, I felt it. Everybody felt it. It was like, wow, he was like the heart and soul of the game, and we went on for like 8 weeks strong, and then he got sick, and then he missed like 3 weeks in a row. And then I was like, all right, well, we still continue trying to go on, a little bit. And then we got the news that he passed. I was like, holy shit, and then we tried to do it like the next session, maybe 2 after that. And none of us had it in us to just keep it going. And we're like, I'm just not feeling this anymore. And then it dawned on me. I was like, wow, he was like the heart and soul of this whole group, so it's like, yep, it just happened, so yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't mind so much when a campaign kind of crumbles for that reason, as opposed to when a campaign crumbles because people just stop showing up or just not consistently there, or whatnot, so that's just, that just is what it is, as we, and it wasn't like he was an old guy either. He was a young guy,
wow.
So that made it even harder. We don't have a translator, DM James.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
Should we hold off on Bear?
Yeah, we need Bear to respond.
I am here, comrades. Hang on.
Yes.
I will get translation for you. Do not worry. I have come to help you. Okie he says, at night, I can't sleep. I toss and turn, candlesticks in the dark. Visions of burning bodies, 4 walls just stare at each other. I'm paranoid. I sleep with my finger on the trigger. I don't know why I turned him into a vampire at the end, but frick it. It's funny.
I was going to say, what is that, music lyrics of some sort?
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably some goth bullshit he's into.
Hey, D&D dad and son, how's it going? Good to see you as well. For reasons that's an issue I had with getting CNC going. Not enough consistent players. Yeah. I love. Well, I like. From what everyone tells me that the newer edition of CNC. Wait, which CNC? No, I'm thinking of Call of Cthulhu. Castles and Crusades.
Castles and Crusades.
All right, so Castles and Crusades. No, I had no problem with running Castles and Crusades before I saw it as CNC. Sorry, COC, Call of Cthulhu. I just got tired of running. I just got tired of running Castles and Crusades for a while. I needed a little change. It was a little bit too. It was a little bit too D&D, so we shifted over to Dragon Slayer, and even though people will say, "Oh, Dragon Slayer is just D&D 2," it's a little bit, it's like in between, someplace in between, D&D BX and AD&D First Edition, but it just has a different feel to me, and Castles and Crusades, I just been running it for almost 2 years. I just got tired. I'll go back to it, but just not right now. Plus, I'm waiting for a bunch of stuff from Troll Lords anyway, so I want to bring that in and then take a look at it and be like, oh, okay, you know what? I can get back into this again, probably down the road. I probably won't see that until 2028. That'll be my 2028 agenda, is to go back to Castles and Crusades, but not anything. The only group that I think would lock into that again would be my Tuesday night group, and we're looking to play Dragon Slayer for at least a year. I'm going to let that run through 2026.
Fair. I'm running bi-weekly 5e, but that's changing to Shadow Dark Final Age, my horror campaign, my post-apocalyptic setting, fantasy. I got a new heroic game coming up, that's going to be fun. We played Shadow Dark last night. We're playing it again in 2 weeks. We'll see if it actually becomes a campaign or not, but it was a lot of fun. And then I have Legends and Longswords playtest coming up this Wednesday. I'm forgetting something. Oh, and I have the Monday Night Valorous every other Monday with the ladies. That's just a hoot.
DM James, let's see. So another.
Did he do another one of these?
Another super chat. This one's shorter.
Hang on. Okay. He's getting very economic with his words. My friends, have a wonderful night and stay warm.
Thank you so much, DM James, and I will. I'll probably catch one of your streams over the next couple of days. Tomorrow's my big work day, so I probably won't catch you tomorrow, but Tuesday. If you're on Tuesday, I'll definitely look for you. Tuesday morning, early afternoonish. Dragon Slayer is great. My son is prepping his campaign for the summer. Nice.
There you go.
Kelsey stuff is so well written. Yay, Bear is back. All right.
Bear is front. Hi, monkey.
Oh, that's a vintage Battlestar Galactica shirt.
Battlestar 78, baby. The only Battlestar we're talking about.
Did you like the 2004?
I didn't dislike the miniseries, and I liked the first episode of the regular series, the 33, where they had to jump every
33, yeah. I would jump every 33 seconds.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The show fell off quickly after that, but I did like, which they stopped doing after a while, the Lords of Cobalt mythology they were developing at some points. I thought that was fun, but overall, no, I didn't care for the series. No.
Yeah, I actually liked the series. Like initially, I thought I wasn't going to like it. I was like, oh, they're swapping this one for that one and everything like that. But I didn't mind it all. I thought it was really well done.
The reason I like this show is because A, it was family oriented. Mm-hmm. B, it was mystical. It was a different culture in space. They might have aspects you recognize, but they were their own culture.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't like the new one was it was just America post 9/11 in space. And
Yeah.
that just eventually I was just like, good God, can we stop, please? You know?
Yeah, that was.
Did you watch Caprica?
Nope.
Oh, I like Caprica. Caprica was really cool too. You know,
I'll take your word for it.
yeah, it was. I thought it was pretty cool. You know, I thought they kind of explained where the Cylons came from. You know,
Yeah, I don't need that.
you know, but it was pretty cool.
Definitely, I'm tired with all the sci-fi and stuff having to explain the origins of stuff in prequels. I'm like, I don't need prequels. I
Yeah.
need sequels. I need you to move the story forward. Hey, Cody.
Let's see what else do we have here. Let's see what this is. Hey, Bo, how's it going? So having a good group is so much more important than the rules you choose. But if you have to play a popular game, VX based on games, well, for me, the most tools.
That's fair.
They're largely compatible. Yep.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yep. Fair enough. Let's see. Hey, GM Cody, how's it going? Good evening.
Down.
And Battlestar Galactica 7-8 Space Mormons, but in the best possible way.
I'll give them that. At least it seemed like they had a plan for their show. The problem with the 2004 show was like after the whole, you thought they had I'm pretty sure they just cooked up the whole new Caprica idea so that they can mix in more GWAT stuff. Is definitely the whole global war on terror flavored the whole thing, because it's like now we have suicide bombers and this and that, and it's like, okay, all right, guys, we have to live this. We don't need this in this show. And then after they got off New Caprica, it was like you hit that boxing episode and you realize, oh, these guys don't have a plan for this entire show. It's just going.
And then all along the Watchtower arrived.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
everybody's a Cylon.
That's long past where everybody should have bailed. They should have realized that. In the intro when they say the Cylons have a plan, it's like they're talking about the writers and they don't have a plan.
Yeah,
exactly.
How many seasons did that go? Like 3?
The sequel?
New one? It was like 4 or 5.
4
or 5?
Yeah.
So they probably ran into that brick wall of, all right, how do we wrap this thing up kind of thing?
Yeah.
Well,
it's a crazy thing because I remember Lost was running at the time, and even you had writers like Paul Dini jump on that, and he's like, all right, what are we doing? How are we explaining stuff? And they're like, we don't know. We're laying the track and the train is running. And it's just like, oh, okay, this is a poor way to manage this.
Nothing as bad as Game of Thrones, Season 7, 8 was just like, what the fuck?
It's like I tell people, they're like, where did it go wrong? And I'm like, just look at it this way. The show died with Tywin. Like at the end of 4, it's over. Just don't watch anymore because it's never going to be as good as it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 4 seasons.
Yeah.
It was 4 seasons? Yeah.
Now, that said, Game of Thrones turned into garbage. Thus far, only 2 episodes in, I'm really enjoying A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Loving it. And I like the novellas, right? And I know George R. R. Martin is like on set overseeing everything because he saw what they did to Game of Thrones. He's like, nope, not doing that again. Plus, Duncan and Sir Duncan Egg those are his pets. He loves those, writing those stories. So he's really caretaking it well. So I'm kind of happy with it.
So let's see, sci-fi TV from the era was all
new episode tonight.
Stargate, Enterprise, Battlestar Galactica. It was a hard time for TV.
Yeah, it was all global war on terror because Enterprise, they had the Zindi attack that hit Florida and killed millions of people. Stargate.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And it sucked because it was like I was liking the other stuff that came later when you had Archer trying to get the Andorians to work with the Vulcans, to work with the Tellarites. I was like, okay, this is cool. I like the diplomacy of that. But
I liked. I always, the only thing I ever liked about Enterprise, other than the last couple of episodes where they were in the mirror universe, that was amazing.
I love that part. Yeah,
that was so well done.
Yeah,
but I love the mirror universe. I loved in the early parts of the series whenever the Andorians showed up. Archer's getting punched. So he's just like, yay, Captain Quantum got punched in the mouth. But Archer actually had a really good story arc in that series, because if you look at the original first sort of season or so, season and a half season, he's very optimistic. He's very about diplomacy and being representatives, ambassadorial. And then by the end, he's like, pirating other ships and just shooting people. It's like a character learned the harshness of space. You know what I mean? Like, I like that. I thought that was good.
Hey, Roger, how's it going?
Yeah, the one that I always point back to is like when they're stuck in that expanse of space and their warp coil's burnt out. And he's talking to the doctor in his office or in his like ready room, and his ready room's falling apart. There's no lights that are working, and the doctor's face is like buried in shadow. And he's like, I'm thinking I'm going to have to make some ethical decisions here that are going to go against everything I believe in. And he's like, I need to know that you'll be ready. And he's like, do you want to let me know what you're planning? And he's just like, there may be casualties. And the doctor just says, I'll be ready. And that's it. It's like they go and steal the other alien's warp coil. And they're like, you're leaving us to die in space. And he's like, I have to do it. And that's like something you wouldn't think you'd see in Star Trek. And you're like, this is hard to watch.
And if they hadn't made it a prequel, if they just found a way to make it a continuation of the timeline, like it will, even jump 25 years ahead or something and say, Enterprise, it's a whole new, it's like their version of Next Gen. It's Next Gen of Next Gen now. And they could have done that. They could have said, the Federation has collapsed or it's falling apart. The Klingon Empire's returned to their warrior ways and they're trying to conquest the Alpha Quadrant from the Beta Quadrant. They could have done this cool shit and still had the temporal Cold War storyline and all that. They could have done all that stuff and have Archer be the guy reforming the Federation, and it would have been great and people would have loved it. The problem is they went back in time, like that's all the rage, do a prequel, and then every show you have ever seen that does a prequel, or every movie that does a prequel to their series, violates their own canon every time. Every bloody time. And then the Hollywood mentality is, well, canon doesn't matter. Well, you're finding out the hard way now with your new Star Trek series how canon matters, because none of the old people are watching your shows anymore and you don't have an audience. And that's because you abandon the people who care about those types of things and give you that solid base that you can run your show on and then hope to expand out to new audiences, and that's just, it's so stupid.
Yeah, well, that was the problem. Was Rick Berman them were running Next Gen for so long that they were able to get away with that stuff. Because in First Contact, there's a lot of things where you're like, Picard's brain can still pick up on the collective, and then they meet up with Zefram Cochrane, and it's like, Zefram Cochrane, wasn't he born in like Alpha Centauri or something?
Yeah, like that's the thing. He's like, Zefram Cochrane of Alpha Centauri. Well, no, but we're going to hand wave and say, well, he was born on Earth, but he retired on Alpha Centauri. Get fucked.
Yeah, so they did a lot of stuff. Well, not to mention Enterprise, for whatever anybody may believe in it, the last episode really was just a slap in the face for any TV show where they're like, we're going to harken back to the show we liked making and make this all a holodeck episode. And it was like, you guys suck. It's the worst thing you could do.
That was brutal. That was brutal.
I agree with Ducato too. Like the one thing that's keeping me from checking out that Night of the Seven Kingdoms now is we're doing the Mr. Moosecock thing here.
It's one scene in of 2 episodes, and it was shocking. It was like, why? But it was over quickly, so I'm like, thank God.
Let's see. I tried out Discovery, and no, I couldn't do it. I could not do Discovery.
So bad.
The only thin layer of anything I liked in that was that there were different Klingon families that had different like dress styles. That's the only thing I liked. I didn't like all Klingons looking the same. Outside of that, everything else was just horrible.
Yep.
Throughout that,
I love the fact that they insisted on calling it disco, even though the community was calling it STD.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I mean I haven't watched any Star Trek since like I watched Enterprise. Was just not Discovery. What was the one before? What was in between? Oh, I don't know.
Voyage. It's TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise.
Yeah, I couldn't watch Voyager.
Voyager. Okay, Voyager is a weird show because when it's good, like The Year in Hell and stuff like that, it's amazing. It's some of the best Star Trek you'll ever see. When it's bad, it's unwatchable shit.
Yeah.
Threshold being the best example of that. And when it's just normal, it's not good, right?
Yeah,
whatever.
It's like
but like episodes like Tuvix and Year in Hell, those are some of the best Star Trek episodes. They're in the top 50 Star Trek episodes of all time for sure,
right?
Because they tackle Star Trek concepts. What's the one with the two-parter with the Equinox, when they find the
Yeah.
other ship that's been trapped in the Delta Quadrant, and they've had to do they didn't get all the luck Voyager got. No, they had no PC plot armor, and they're just like absolutely morally bankrupt trying to get home. That's great stuff. That's good Star Trek. You know?
Yeah, I like that one, Living Witness, where it was they
found the future where they find the thing they watch. He's watching. This isn't
how history.
This was we weren't like this. What are you talking about? They got Janeway as a black glove fascist and stuff. Yeah, that was good. But that's what I'm saying. When it was good Star Trek on top of it all.
Yeah,
you know, that was what made it good.
Because at the time I was in middle school watching it, but it was running on UPN, and they had Babylon 5 next to it, and I was like, this show is just kicking Star Trek's ass. Because they switched from episodic to serialized, where it was like, oh, hold on a sec, there's an overarching thing going on here as you watch it. And I was like, this is brilliant, you know. And then
but here's the thing: you ever gone back and watched Babylon 5 again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I can't. Every time I try, I'm like, yeah, but I know how this ends. I know who that is. I know what that reference means, because I was like a huge Babylon 5 guy when it was on, right? I was like, did not miss it. And now I'm like, I can't watch it. Oh. They're probably making a new one.
Yeah,
24.
They're making a new one.
Are they?
They're doing another 24?
Yes.
Well, the girl who played his daughter on that, Alicia Cuthbert, she's a Montrealer, and we worked together many times. And I knew her when she was like a 15-year-old kid on a show here called Popular Mechanics for Kids, right? And she's a really nice girl, or at least she was then. I don't know what kind of adult she became, but when she was a teenager, like one of the things you learn to hate in the film industry is kid actors. They're just nightmares because of their parents usually. But Alicia's head was on her shoulders. She was respectful. She was pleasant. She was easygoing. You know, so I was really happy to see her get success. You know what I mean? But then, boy, that show just went downhill after the first season. Like it just went boo. You know, it's another one day of hell for him. Like, man, maybe he should retire.
I like The Expanse, but when I tried to. That show kind of lost it near the end too, you know. Once they got to the planet, and they started finding the source or whatever, it kind of collapsed in the last season of The
My problem
Expanse.
is I read the books and then I watched the show, and I'm like, yeah, I like some of this stuff that you're doing, and some of it's really kind of cool, and it's really neat and all that, and that was good. But boy, as it went on, it was like, oh boy, no.
Yeah, they started losing the plot. You know, I was like,
it was a Traveler campaign.
Yeah, it happens.
I think
no, it started. It started as a Traveler campaign.
Yeah.
That the two guys who wrote it under the fake name, it was their Traveler campaign. They were going to make a role playing supplement out of it, and then they said, let's just write a novel instead, and it took off. You know?
Yeah.
I liked watching it with my gaming buddy and telling him when that medic gets shot and his head gets torn off with the railgun. I was like,
oh my God.
That guy quit the campaign, so they had to kill his character. And he was like, oh my God, that makes sense. And I was like, that's why he died that way.
Yep. It's so good at the start. And what's the tough guy? I forget the tough guy's character. Amos. That actor is amazing. Yeah. He did that so well.
Yeah. I liked him. I liked all of the characters in there. It's just like, the story just kind of collapsed in the last season. It was like
it was something between 3 and 4, because
once they went through the gate, once they went through the gate, that kind of ended it there. It was like it was
the books. By the way, the books fall off there too. By the way, in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that saves me some time. But the thing was, they were switching because it was on Sci-Fi Channel. Then they got dropped, and Amazon bought them. So it was like you're switching production groups, and it's like something happened in there where you're like, okay, the CGI is a little bit better, but like, they spent that whole season 4, I think it was, on that planet that had all the weird stuff happening on it, and you're like, Usually it was things juggling all over, like kind of the intersolar system stuff, and it had a rhythm to it that you got used to, and it got thrown completely off.
Yeah, and also like certain casting doesn't match the book, and I know it's the limitations of humanity, but the Martian girl, the Marine from Mars, in the book, she's like 6'7".
Yeah, she's like a tower.
She's a giant in the books. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, we got this girl from New Zealand. She's part Maori, and she's like 5'10".
Yeah. Yeah.
especially when you start the series.
But she was still a cool character. I mean,
Great character. But
Yeah.
when they started, remember when they started the series, they're doing that torture interrogation of the Belter, and like the actor they got to play him was so long and thin. He was like
Yeah.
a circus freak. Or
Yeah.
when the detective whose name I can never remember, when he's that one hooker he goes to see on Ceres.
The one that's teaching him how to speak Belter Creole.
Yeah,
Like
that
Giselle,
actress is like super thin and long limbed. So like the Belters, they were casting the Belters really well.
Yeah.
And then by the time we get to that Asian chick, she's like 5'4". So she's a Belter. It's like, really? Okay. And that's one of the things I find it's best never to read the book before you watch the movie, right? Because you're going to be disappointed. Where if you watch the movie and then you read the book, you'll get excited because you'll see stuff you didn't see in the movie. You'll be like, oh, I see what they were going for. It's really great. Because that's what Game of Thrones did for me. I love the first 3 books. Arya, her nickname is Horseface Arya because she's supposed to have a long horse face. And the girl, Maisie, whatever her name is, has a round cherubic face. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, I guarantee you there were 1,000 actresses who would have looked more appropriate, who could act just as well as she did. You know, it's like, it's such a weird thing. The Witcher had that problem too, right? Like, I've only read 1 Witcher book, well, 1 1/3 Witcher books, and I read the first book, which is all the short stories that they used to make the TV show, basically, and I love that book. It's such a good book. Then I read the next book in the series, which is the full-length novel, and it's just like, no, this concept doesn't carry a full length. Sorry. But all the characters in the show, even Geralt, don't look like the characters in the book, like, at all. It's weird, and I don't know why they do that. Like, it's such a stupid thing. What are you gonna do? Yeah, no Lady Stoneheart. Yeah.
So if you're running Traveler there, all right, can characters die in creation?
So if I'm running Traveler, first thing you're gonna have to do is figure out when they turned on the Large Hadron Collider that sent us into another dimension where I thought running Traveler was a good idea. But let's pretend we're there. Yes, because the Traveler I'm going to run is not going to be Mongoose Traveler. It's not going to be Mark Miller Traveler. I'm going to go dig up PDFs of the original Little Black books. And the one thing I always loved about that was people go, well, it's stupid to be able to die in character creation. No, it's part of the game. What do you mean it's part of the game? You're gambling.
Yeah.
I could muster out now, but one more tour, you know, like, and I died.
Do you know that the character creator on the one that Shauner used to use, and the character creator on online that's still active actually. Yeah, that's exactly how it works out. Like you do another tour. Oh, you just had a career-ending injury. It's like your character's done, you know, or you could die. Yes, you could die even in that there. That's the Mega Traveler character creator.
Nice.
You know, so that's still out there, and you can still use that. And yeah, it's a blast.
Mike Necrofent, we were arguing about this on DM James' channel the other day, Space Above and Beyond. I love the show, and for people who don't love it, they always have the same bugaboo. It makes no sense that they're pilots and ground forces at the same time. You know what? Suspend reality for a few minutes.
It's
a show.
Space Above and Beyond. Earth and Beyond, or Earth Above and Beyond, was the video game. EA video game. That was an MMO.
Yeah.
That was an awesome game. And EA shut it down, not because it wasn't making money. It was making money. It just wasn't making enough money for them. And I was like, crap. I mean, it was like...
It's usually how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It was almost like Sony Entertainment screwing Star Wars Galaxies the way that they...
Oh, boy, they screwed
that thing up.
There.
You know? I was there for that whole thing with that. It was like, you know, because I'll never forget, I was on the Ahazi server when we saw the first Jedi, and I saw the first Jedi in action killing crate dragons like they were nothing, you know. And if you're at all familiar with that game, it was like you were killing Tarrasques, you know what I'm saying? He was like soloing Tarrasques, you know, and it was like, just to see him in action was incredible. and you just had this sense of this, and the way that player, he discovered how to become a Jedi completely by accident. You know what I'm saying? Just by doing a series of different things, totally unbeknownst to him, and all of a sudden, he finds a holocron and he becomes a Jedi. So Sony Entertainment was like, "Oh well, we can't keep it a secret. Now we have to make it." And they created the holocrons that everybody could follow and learn how to. And now all of a sudden, everybody was a freaking Jedi, and it was like, oh, they just destroyed the whole.
Is
the whole
learning
thing.
to be a Jedi from a holocron like trying to learn karate from a book?
Yeah, it's like
Daniel-san.
Yeah,
You got to send away for the manual in the back from Lord Dante to teach you the fingers of death or whatever.
Dimak, touch of death, dead in 2 weeks.
But yeah, Necrofent brings up another one. Mike brings up Kindred the Embraced. It was a good show, and you would think that because it was Fox, they canceled it. But I believe the lead actor in it died in a motorcycle accident, so that's why.
No, one of the main actors did, but the main actor was C. Thomas Howell, and I actually worked with him on something. And I will never forget this experience. I got on set, I meet him. I'm like, "Hey man, I just wanted to say, I really loved Kindred the Embrace. Sorry it got canceled, brother." And he looks at me with this look of derision on his face and says, "Yeah, we did our best," and walks away angry. And I'm like, "Well, fuck you, C. Thomas Howell." You know, if someone's trying to give you a compliment, you want to be an ass about it? Good. That's why you never be a star again. I guess, what was that fucking movie where he pretended he was Soul Brother? Soul Man. I guess Soul Man, there's not going to be a sequel, huh?
Yeah.
Dumbasses. I hate actors like
anyway,
that. I fucking hate them. Anyway, Galaxies. I had a lot of friends who played Galaxies. I never played Galaxies. I had no interest in it, but a lot of people played it.
So let's get back on to our topic.
What's our topic?
Well, our topic was disruptive players and their disruptive demands or whatnot, requests, demands, and I gave a couple, issues. This was really spurred on from an N-World, not an N-World, I'm sorry, a Reddit comment, which I typically don't go to, but it was interesting. It was an interesting situation, and I found that the responses that the person got, because he was like asking other DMs, how would you handle this? Yeah. And virtually everybody came on and was basically like, nope. It was like, not going to deal with it. If you were here earlier, I don't know if you were Bear or not, but the was like the player asked the DM to not let his character die, regardless of, but also not to tell the other players that he was going to do this for him, so that he says, I don't mind the combat. I just don't want ever to lose my character because I grow too attached to my characters. And he was like, how would you have handled this situation? He's asking other DMs out there, how would you have handled this situation? And I basically was like, I'll be like, this is not the game for you. At my own table, all the roles, even though we're virtual, all of my roles are, open. Paul can attest to that, right? You see my dice rolls, you'll see, oh, you got critically hit and here's the damage and everything like that. Everybody sees everything, so there's no way to kind of fudge that kind of thing, at my table. And even when I'm playing at a convention, I play, my dice rolls are in front of everybody. So there's no getting around that. So session 0 PC death is a certainty. Yeah, I mean that's bottom line. That's what I tell them. It's like I will wince when I roll a natural 20 on you. As the game master, it's like I want you. I want you to succeed, but the dice might tell a very different story, and that's ultimately how the chips fall.
Yeah. Those are the rules you've agreed to play by. Like if there's something that's a random deciding factor, sometimes things get upended. I'm sorry you got attached to the character. It just, that's what happens. Now make their death meaningful.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. No, you know who has worse dice rolls than you, Bo, is Shadow. Shadow plays in my Dragon Slayer game, and oh my god, if he hits 1 in 20 times, you know, and it's like, dude, you he gets like +2 with his bow shots because he has a decent agility, dexterity, and so he gets that bonus, and he can't fucking hit the side of a barn. I mean, he literally hits 1 in 20 times. And it's just like, I don't know what it is. It's like if he were playing live and rolling a die, I'd be like, throw out that D20, man, just burn it. Cast an exorcism on it and then burn it. Let it. But it's just terrible dice rolling on his part. So I feel bad for him because he's like, it pains him to. He's sitting there where it's like, I don't even want to bother attacking. I'm just gonna miss. I was like, just try to, eventually once his character goes up a level, he'll get an extra +1. So like, all right, maybe a +3 will help you out, where the +2 is just not working for you. Adults have to adult. I like that. Yeah. Adults have to adult. It's like
even still, it's like I was saying, just ask if they want to play like a Marvel superheroes game. Nobody dies. Like you get knocked out, there you go. Your character is never going to be permanently killed unless somebody is like, they want to do the 80s 90s thing of like Superman's dead or whatever nonsense. And then just don't play in that game. But no, it's there's you have options. You have other RPG options. But the problem is probably that's probably a group where they're like, we play 5e or we don't play anything at all. There's plenty of people that are like that. So
yeah, that's a crazy thing to me when people will be like, oh, we don't want to play anything else. I was like, I get that often. Like people saying, oh, I try to get people to break away. It's like, dude, I would just, that's where Table Master comes in, right? This is what I'm running. That's it. This is what we're shifting to. And you want to stay? Great. You don't want to stay for it? Maybe I'll see you in 6 months. Who knows? But we're gonna run this and we're gonna see how it works out. I've had some game systems that just don't work out. For whatever reason, they look great on paper, but once we started running it and everything like that, it's like.
Well, it's like you said with that Gangbusters game, you were having to cook up a lot of stuff as we were running.
I was having to create systems for a game that should have had it. And I was like, geez, Gangbusters 3rd edition had stuff in there that should have made it into this. And I don't know why he didn't do that. But I had the same thing with Amazing Adventures from Trollords. Amazing Adventures does not translate well. You cannot take a generic game system and make it class-based. Sorry, you can't have it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Bear.
Me? What the hell am I doing in this?
Well,
you're the designer.
I mean, so if you have a generic game system,
sure.
All right. Would you make it class-based or skill-based?
Depends what kind of game I'm trying to like. So, okay. Design philosophy says there are 2 schools of thought: class and level versus skill, right? That's the way you're going to wind up. Now, there are mix and mashes of that you can do and all that sort of thing. So that exists. But it all depends on what type of flavor you're trying to get for the game, right? So if I'm doing it, so I used to be very much generic game. Generic, build everything, point buy, here we go. Mm-hmm. And the more I ran and the more I did that, I realized there is a small percentage of the RPG community who likes that. The rest think they like it, but then when they go to make their characters, they get analysis paralysis. There's too many options. There's too many choices, right? Class and level, there's not enough choices. And in fact, as you make choices in class and level games, you start narrowing your focus moving forward until you're going to wind up in one point as a general rule, because you're sort of locking yourself out of other things as you make choices moving forward. So what I tried to do in Valorous was find a way to combine the two ideas, and that's why I used a step-based. Pick your ancestry, pick your race, your origin. I call them. Pick your origin, pick your culture and your social class, pick your background, pick your career. What is your professional overlay? You're a knight, you're a wizard, you're a wizard, Harry, or whatever the case may be. So I sort of tried to get the best of both ideas. Converting a generic game into a class and level that is a skill, no, that'll never work. You can't turn RuneQuest into a class game. Even when they tried to do it with Mithras, they realized they had to still make it a choice-based game. You need to choose things as you're making your character. I think Savage Worlds tries to mix both worlds as well. I don't think they succeed as much as everybody likes to think they succeed, because characters become very samey after a while in Savage Worlds. Characters just have the same ability, the same power level, the same everything, and it's just got a different flavor for what they're rolling the same dice with the same chance for as they go along. So I think it's going to really depend on what type of flavor you want to give with the game. And for some people, you're going to want to give a class and level system where basically there's less choices being made by the player. They just get to, I'm a fighter, I do this, right? Yeah. And if you want more sort of build a character or Lego character or whatever you want to call it, then you would go the other way. So it's really going to depend on what your end goal is for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I found with like Amazing Adventures, like Ducato says, meh. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just can't say magic missile is a laser gun. You know, I mean, basically take the spell magic missile and say, oh, that's the exact thing as a laser gun now. It's like, well, laser guns can, you know, but the laser gun can only shoot, you know, as many times as you would have spell slots. I was like, what? It was like, no.
That was my big problem with Fate.
You can't take Castles and Crusades and reskin it as
a generic game. No,
a generic game. It's like it just doesn't work, and a spell doesn't translate to a technological item. No, you know what I'm saying? It's like one is not the other. You know, you have charges that can fire this many times. You can't tie it to. They tried to tie it to even their magic energy points kind of thing. Well, it's still class based. The number of shots you get from a pistol was class based, and level based. It was like
dumb.
What? It's like really it's just you're just reskinning Castles and Crusades as a sci-fi, and it doesn't work that way.
This is my problem with Fate. I was going to play in a Fate game, and I was building characters, and it was a fantasy Fate game. And I got to say, "Where's the equipment?" He goes, "Oh, those are just aspects." What do you mean? Well, you take like your armor as an aspect, your sword as an aspect. I said, "Okay, that's great. Don't I have to use meta currency to tag my aspects to be able to use them in the game?" Well, yeah. So if I'm out of meta currency, my armor vanishes? What are you talking about? This makes no sense. This is nonsense. I recently was vindicated dramatically when I found out from some insiders. They've admitted Fate never made money. They always they kept pushing it, and it was such a darling of the internet, but it never made money for them. It was a loss.
Really?
They always lost money on Fate. So I thought that was pretty cool. There you go. That's the problem, right? So yeah, give me a nice mix of the two if you can. But if you can't, well, I'm gonna have to decide what I'm in the mood for. Am I in the mood for BRP or am I mood for D&D? And that's ultimately, I mean, those are just Kleenex, Kleenex Xerox. Like they're just, I don't mean specifically those games, but both of those games are perfect examples of the two styles.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to wrap this one up because it is almost 10 o'clock and we all have work tomorrow. So, everyone, thank you so much for joining in the conversation. DM James, if you're still listening out there, thank you very much for all of your super chats and your.
Let me translate for you. I'll translate for you. DM James, spasiba, tovarish.
And everyone else, and gentlemen, Paul and Bear, thank you for joining in. Sure. And we will touch bases maybe like this upcoming Thursday. We'll talk and just try to get we'll see who the 4 or 5 players are, and then we can start to try to plan for 2 weeks from now or from then, this Thursday, and we'll see about that that Deadlands. So we will get started on Deadlands first edition, and I'm going to reach out to I'll reach out to the guys over there at Pinnacle as well, and get any tips that they might have for other resources I need
Sure.
to run a campaign. So that's cool. And I was waiting to have I was waiting to have Shane come on the channel and talk about, whether it's Suede or whatnot. But at the time that he was talking about coming on, he had that big brouhaha that came up about like 6 months ago or something, because he came out and he said something like, completely, egregious, like, I don't mix politics with the gaming, and all of a sudden he got attacked for it or whatnot, and he was like, I don't know, I forget. I literally, it was something crazy like that. It was like, totally like non-committal, like he wasn't going to come in and trash either side. He was just saying, I'm just here to game, and
Yeah, I run a role-playing company, and they said, how dare you?
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you not mix politics? Look at all the stuff that's going on in the world, and you're going to be, I just want to make good games? Fuck you. It's like, we have to cancel you now.
These people are sick.
Yeah, it really is, But anyway, gentlemen, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to Thursday, and maybe we'll get some things nailed down, and then I can start getting ready to create your first experience in the Deadlands. So the only thing I will
looking forward to it.
You will be beginning in a small town of Turkey Creek, which would eventually become Cross Plains, Texas, the home of Robert E. Howard. So that's kind of where, I'm using more so Weird Frontiers back, like its map, because I liked its map better than that. I liked Weird Frontiers. It's just map is better than the one that's for Deadlands.
All good, brother.
So,
looking forward to it.
So you guys have a great one. Thank you, everyone else, for joining on in, and you have a great upcoming week. Take care.